Chapter 658. The Martial God's Path. It's not that easy. Brat, do you think the martial god realm is a cabbage that can be found by the roadside? You can break through whenever you want. Cultivating the war god's path only gives you a slight chance. If you want to become a martial god, you have to transform the Asura battle body into the Asura divine body. Then you can become the strongest martial god. The stone puppet said proudly. Invincible? Yi Fei was deeply shocked. No one knew better than him how terrifying it was to be invincible. For example, he was invincible in the same realm. As long as he wanted, he could kill thousands of martial kings in the same realm with a single slash. No one could stop him. This was invincibility. Then, how terrifying would the invincible martial god be? The stone puppet understood Yi Fei's feelings. It patted Yi Fei's shoulder and said, "Brat, don't even think about being invincible. Such an existence is at least a peerless genius who has touched upon the divine devil domain. You still have a long way to go before you reach that level. Instead of worrying about the martial god realm, why don't you think about how to condense the Asura battle body as soon as possible? I'll be honest with you. Our Asura Saint Palace has always been the strongest in the 6 sacred sects. Our holy princes are not invincible in the same realm, but they can still crush others. For example, our strongest generation had a valiant record of killing an omnipotent great sage when he was in the martial king realm. Of course, you can forget about such a record," the stone puppet said with a look of disdain. "After all, your talent is so poor and your strength is so weak. You can be considered the worst holy prince that our Asura Saint Palace has ever produced. Brat, if you're bullied in the future, don't say that you're from the Asura Saint Palace. You can even say that you're from the Heavenly One Saint Palace or the Demonic Saint Palace. The main thing is that you can't afford to lose face." Yi Fei didn't say anything. He only clenched his fists and stared at the stone puppet that had just said a few words and was now acting like a bitch again. If it weren't for the fact that he had yet to obtain the inheritance of the Asura Saint Palace, Yi Fei swore that he would smash this cheap stone into dust. Cough cough. "Kid, don't look at me like that. I'm old and have already passed the age of being impulsive. Oh right, this is the battle god Tao. Take it and comprehend it. As for how much you can comprehend, that will depend on your luck." Under the pressure of Yi Fei's gaze, the stone puppet finally obediently shut its mouth. It then handed a jade talisman to Yi Fei and tried to crush it. Suddenly, an incomparably large amount of information flooded into his mind, almost causing his brain to explode. Yi Fei did not care about anything else. He quickly sat cross-legged on the ground and tried to comprehend the information. After an entire day, Yi Fei opened his eyes in shock. The battle god Tao contains too much information. Compared to the battle god Tao, the Devil Emperor Sutra created by the Devil Emperor is like a stream compared to the ocean. As expected of an ancient sect that once produced an Einherjar. The power of the battle god Tao had also subverted Yi Fei's understanding of geniuses. In his mind, geniuses were born extraordinary and blessed by the heavens. However, the battle god Tao of the Shilua Saint sect was different. It could actually create geniuses. The battle god Tao was mainly divided into 2 major realms, the battle god realm and the god realm. The battle god realm corresponded to the ancient genius level 10 forbidden area. Every time the ancient genius reached a new level, he would be able to challenge a martial artist of a higher level. For example, Yi Fei's current combat power was 700,000. He could barely reach the level 2 forbidden area of the ancient genius. In other words, he could only defeat level 2 titled Wu Jun. If he didn't have any fortuitous encounters in the future, he would only be able to maintain the level 2 forbidden area. However, if Yi Fei managed to cultivate the war god's path and condense the Asura battle body, he would be able to break through that restriction and unceasingly break through even higher forbidden domains. He would even be able to defeat 3rd, 4th, and even 10th rank titled martial lord. If Yi Fei could enter the battle god realm, he would be able to break through to the divine demon realm, which was even higher than the forbidden area. In that realm, Yi Fei's combat power would increase by more than 10 times. Of course, the divine demon realm wasn't the highest realm of the battle god Dao. Senior, didn't the battle god Dao of the Azura Saint Palace mention that there are 3 realms? Other than the battle god realm and the god realm, why isn't there a 3rd realm mentioned? Yi Fei opened his eyes and looked at the stone puppet in confusion. The stone puppet was shocked. You've comprehended the battle god Dao so quickly? That shouldn't be. This kid is clearly trash. Isn't his comprehension a little too perverse? Yi Fei rolled his eyes. He couldn't be bothered to say anything. Would he say that he had the undying sword soul and could increase his comprehension without limit? Yi Fei didn't say anything. The stone puppet started to explain. The 3rd realm of the battle god Dao does exist, but I don't know about it. I don't think any of the past Shura Saint sons know about it either. If you want to know, you have to go to the Reincarnation Palace and ask the sect leader personally. The core secrets of our 6 great sacred palaces and all kinds of treasures are hidden in the Reincarnation Palace. The stone puppet added. Then what do I have to do to enter the Reincarnation Palace? Yi Fei asked anxiously. You want to enter the Reincarnation Palace? Kid, don't you think you're biting off more than you can chew? Let me tell you, the Reincarnation Palace is the place where the sect leader cultivate. The secret to breaking through to the martial god realm is hidden inside. If you want to obtain it, there's only one way, and that is to pass the sect leader's test of the 6 great sacred palaces. So, wait until you become a martial emperor and have enough strength before you come back for the test. Of course, if you die halfway, just pretend I didn't say anything. After saying a few human words, the stone puppet couldn't hold back and began to run its mouth again. Yi Fei really wanted to kick this stupid stone. Even if you don't praise me, you don't have to keep insulting me. When I become a martial emperor, I'll come back and tear you apart. Do you believe me? Yi Fei was so angry that the roots of his teeth started to itch. The stone puppet wasn't afraid at all. It continued to paint its body slowly and said, I'm afraid you won't have that chance. Do you think it's so easy to obtain the inheritance of the 6 great sacred palaces? If I'm not wrong, there's already an idiot outside the heaven-forsaken land who's planning to attack you. An idiot? Is there a titled battle pet warrior Wu Jun here? Yi Fei was taken aback. Given his current combat strength, the only one who would dare to attack him was the titled battle pet warrior Wu Jun. Yi Fei couldn't help but frown. He knew that the news that he had obtained the inheritance of the sacred palaces would cause a sensation in the northern region. By that time, not to mention those titled battle pet warrior Wu Jun, who had concealed his identity, even the king of the Beiyang kingdom, who was very friendly to him, might be tempted. But Yi Fei didn't expect that a titled battle pet warrior Wu Jun would come so soon and that the titled battle pet warrior would secretly ambush him. I wonder who this titled battle pet warrior Wu Jun is. Yi Fei was lost in thought. Chapter 659. Defying the heavens and changing fate. Yi Fei was so angry that he almost made a move. He said solemnly, "Hide my ass. You can hide for a while, but you can't hide forever. We'll have to fight sooner or later, so why don't we fight now?" Yi Fei's body emitted a strong battle intent. So what if he's a titled Wu Jun? With my current strength, I'm not afraid of them. If I can't even pass this test, how can I face the true geniuses of the central state in the future? Since I'm cultivating the war god Dao, I can't back down. Fight. Suddenly Yi Fei's mind rumbled. At this moment, he finally understood the entirety of the war god Dao. The stone puppet finally looked at Yi Fei seriously and laughed with satisfaction. Wahahaha, I didn't misjudge you. Kid, you're good. That's how you should be from the Azura Saint Palace. Yi Fei, remember this. The people of the Azura Saint Palace can have no battle strength, but they can't have no battle intent. As long as the battle intent doesn't die, the battle soul will never be extinguished. As long as the battle intent doesn't die, the battle soul will never be extinguished. Yi Fei repeatedly pondered over those words. In his eyes, the desire for battle grew stronger and stronger, and the flames of battle grew stronger and stronger. He had an impulse. He wanted nothing more than to rush out right now and have a great battle with the hidden titled martial lord. However, Yi Fei didn't forget his goal of passing the Azura Saint Palace's test. Senior, do you know a person called Wang Bai? Yi Fei suddenly asked. Wang Bai? Who is Wang Bai? I'm handsome, elegant, and charming. Everyone loves me, flowers bloom when they see me. The stone puppet was stunned for a moment before it started talking. Stop. You're handsome, you're the most handsome in the world. That should be fine, right? Yi Fei almost vomited blood. He didn't know what kind of senior would create such a weirdo. At the same time, Yi Fei's heart sank. Was he overthinking things? If Wang Bai wasn't in the Six Paths Sacred Sect, how would he know that the Azura Saint Palace had the Sky Destroyer Sword? Oh right, the Sky Destroyer Sword. Does the Azura Saint Palace have the last move of the Sky Destroyer Sword? Senior, can you give it to me? Yi Fei asked again. The stone puppet looked as if it had seen a ghost. It cried out, What? How did you know that the sword left behind by my Azura Saint Palace would be the last sword? Yi Fei was in a difficult position. He didn't know how to explain Wang Bai's situation. He didn't even know who Wang Bai was. Upon seeing Yi Fei's troubled expression, the stone puppet did not probe further. Instead, it waved its hand and said, Forget it. You've obtained the Sacred Palace's inheritance after all. Logically speaking, the Sacred Palace's treasures, including me, should all belong to you. However, I'm already so old. If I'm ordered around by a junior like you, I won't be able to survive. Master, get to the point. Yi Fei's face darkened. Just based on how naggy this stone puppet was, he was determined not to accept it. Only then did the stone puppet come to its senses. It nodded repeatedly and said, Right, the main point. The Sky Destroyer Sword is the main point. Here, this is the last sword left behind by the heaven-abandoning emperor. Extremely reluctantly, the stone puppet took out a black brick and handed it to Yi Fei. It had always used this brick as a pillow. Holding the black brick, Yi Fei was extremely excited. This is the last sword of the Sky Destroyer Sword. Back then, the demon emperor personally came from the heavenly demon continent and crossed the starry sky for it. In the end, he almost died in the demon sealing tower. Back then, Wang Bai appeared in the Taishan sacred ground. Could it be that the Taishan sacred ground also had the Sky Destroyer Sword? But why did he deliberately give the sword technique to me in the end? There's also the evil demon sword Saint Zhao Qianjun. Back then, in order to obtain the Sky Destroyer Sword, he didn't hesitate to fake his death and secretly returned to the Zhao clan. Now, he's headed to the central region. Yi Fei recalled all of this. His eyes were filled with confusion, doubt, and disappointment. In the end, his gaze became resolute. No matter what, since the Sky Destroyer Sword is in my hands, I absolutely cannot let go of this opportunity to obtain the Emperor's destiny. Boom! Yi Fei exerted force and crushed the black brick in his hand. Suddenly, a terrifying sword light appeared in the Azura Saint Palace. Rumble! This sword light seemed to be something that the heavens and earth could not tolerate, but when it appeared, the heavens and earth were enraged. Vast heavenly might surged like raging waves, like the sea, and seemed to want to obliterate this sword light. But this sword light was too strong. It was unyielding, it was immortal. It shone brightly, but it was also dim and lightless. It was an incomparably contradictory sword strike, but it was also an incomparably terrifying sword strike. This was the last move of the Sky Destroyer sword, the Sky Destroyer style. A sword could destroy the heavens and earth. What couldn't be destroyed? This dangerous thought suddenly appeared in Yi Fei's mind. Rumble. Just as this thought crossed his mind, the consciousness of the first-generation sacred master, which he had forgotten for a long time, suddenly turned into a sword light and rushed out. Bury the sky. The old voice resounded in the air once more. Devour the sky. In the distant starry sky, the majestic roar of the demon emperor sounded again. Incinerate the sky. In the mysterious land of the Middle Continent, a middle-aged Confucian scholar looked up at the sky with a cold and ruthless smile. With a sword strike, he burned the powerful enemy that was chasing him to ashes. Destroy the sky. Rumble. His eardrums rang, making Yi Fei feel as if his soul was being torn apart. Through the endless space, he seemed to hear a mysterious voice roaring in the starry sky. With this roar, the heavens and earth shattered, no longer existing. With this voice, Yi Fei didn't seem to see the heavens and earth in front of him. There was only a strange mass of chaotic air. A total of 4 rays of sword light were bathed in this ball of qi and were madly absorbing it. Then, these 4 rays of sword light all fused together, forming 2 rays of mysterious yellow light. One of them entered the mysterious starry sky, and the other entered Yi Fei's body. At the same time, Yi Fei involuntarily spat out an ancient voice. He couldn't understand this voice at all, but the stone puppet standing beside him had a look of horror on its face. Revolution of the heavens and earth, defying the heavens and changing fate. The stone puppet roared out, wanting to prevent Yi Fei from absorbing this mysterious yellow energy. But this mysterious yellow energy was too strong. It perfectly wrapped around Yi Fei's body and tempered it. The stone puppet's complexion was incomparably ugly. The old man that disappeared had at some unknown time reappeared in the Azura Saint Palace. His eyes were incomparably complex as he sighed and said, "Revolution of the heavens and earth, defying the heavens and changing fate. I never imagined that Qitian would succeed. Not only did he steal the heavens' secrets, but he also helped his descendants steal the heavens' secret." The stone puppet's complexion turned even uglier as it heard this. Damn it, no wonder that outsider Qitian chose our 6 Paths sacred sect over all the other saint sects. He must have calculated that this land forsaken by the heavens and the samsara power of our 6 Paths sacred sect can help him deceive the heavens' secrets and protect the world's destiny he stole so that he won't suffer the wrath of the heavens. Elder Yi Fei is in trouble now. He was originally forsaken by the heavens, and now he has stolen the world's destiny. This is no longer forsaken by the heavens, but envied by the heavens. Throughout history, those who were envied by the heavens never had a good ending. The stone puppet's tone was dignified. Chapter 660. Battle God Position. Is this the fate hidden in the Sky Destroyer sword that Zhao Qianjun mentioned to me? This fate is so powerful and terrifying. Will I really be able to change my fate with it? Will I have the chance to break through to martial emperor like those emperor-level cultivators? In the vast airflow, Yi Fei didn't hear what the old man and the stone puppet said. All of his attention was focused on the 4 sword lights in front of him. These 4 sword lights were the sword lights of the Sky Destroyer sword. Each of them represented a special ability. For example, the Sky-Burying stance could weaken an opponent's attack. The Sky-Swallowing stance could not weaken an opponent, but it could forcefully swallow or cancel out an opponent's attack. The Sky-Burning stance was the strongest move of the Sky Destroyer sword. Its effect was amplification. It could magnify a single attack infinitely, turning it into a terrifying area attack. The final Sky Destroyer's stance was not the powerful destruction that Yi Fei had imagined. In its destruction, it actually contained new life. This power seemed hard to comprehend, but with the Undying Sword Soul's crazy increase in comprehension, Yi Fei quickly understood the true use of the Heaven Destroyer style. When it was used to kill an enemy, it could also produce a return effect. The Sky Destroyer stance was the final move of the Sky Destroyer sword. It was also the move that consumed the most energy. Every move required Yi Fei to use all the quintessential yuan in his body. However, if Yi Fei was able to use the Sky Destroyer stance to kill an enemy, the Sky Destroyer stance would automatically absorb the enemy's quintessential yuan to replenish the energy used by Yi Fei. This was equivalent to returning the quintessential yuan that Yi Fei had used to Yi Fei. This was equivalent to Yi Fei not using any quintessential yuan to kill a powerful enemy. As expected of an Emperor-level sword technique, the Sky Destroyer sword is truly heaven-defying. With this sword technique, I can finally walk out of the heaven-forsaken land with peace of mind. After an unknown period of time, Yi Fei finally stopped comprehending. When he opened his eyes, he saw the stone puppet looking at him with a complicated expression. Yi Fei felt a little strange, but when he thought of his companions who were still waiting outside, he still asked, "Senior, I've already accepted the inheritance. Can I leave now?" Of course, after receiving the inheritance, you can leave at any time. When you become a martial monarch, you can come here again and take the sect leader's test. Yi Fei, are you sure you want to leave now? Asked the stone puppet. I'm sure, Yi Fei said. All right then, you can leave through the gate of all life. The stone puppet pointed with its finger. Only then did Yi Fei realize that the gate of all life he had shattered had been restored. There was no need to guess. This was definitely the effect of the power of reincarnation. Yi Fei was very curious about this kind of power, but he didn't ask. He knew that he still didn't have the ability to come into contact with that level of power. Yi Fei nodded slightly at the stone golem, then quickly walked towards the gate of all life. Yi Fei, Senior, is there anything else? Yi Fei turned around when he heard this. No, nothing. Have a safe journey. Remember, when you are outside, do not bring down the prestige of my Azura Saint Palace. The stone puppet's tone was a little complicated. Yi Fei thought that the stone puppet knew that no one spoke after he left. Nodding again, Yi Fei lifted his foot and walked into the gate of all life. Hey, Elder, why didn't you let me remind him? He has stolen the world's destiny. The stone puppet was very puzzled. This time, the old man didn't appear. In the Saint Palace, only his faint voice sounded. Why should I stop him? Although a person forsaken by the heavens is abandoned by the world, on the other hand, if Yi Fei can break free from this shackle, his potential will be limitless. In the end, the first condition to become a martial god is to transcend this world. Transcend? That kid has obtained the inheritance. Many people outside are envious of him. Now that he is suffering from the jealousy of the heavens, if he dies outside, won't all my efforts be in vain? The stone puppet probed. The old man immediately understood. You want to go out and help him? I'll listen to you, Elder. The stone puppet smiled apologetically at the air. Then, it felt its body soar into the clouds as it was ruthlessly thrown into the depths of the Azura Saint Palace. If you dare to call me Elder in front of me again, I'll crush you. You can't help Yi Fei either. What my glory sect needs is an invincible martial god who can lead the glory sect back to glory, not a flower in a greenhouse. If he can't even overcome this obstacle, how can he surpass this world in the future and become a martial god? Martial god? Elder, you really have a sharp tongue but a soft heart. I just find that kid pleasing to the eye, but you actually have such high expectations for him. The stone puppet smiled bitterly and didn't mention anything about going out. Outside the Forsaken Lands, after waiting for several days, there was still no sign of Yi Fei. Not only did the number of martial artists outside not decrease, it actually increased. Even the bandits had secretly mixed in with the crowd, inquiring about the latest news. Have you heard? The king of Northern Plains' warship has already entered the desert. It won't be long before they arrive at the Forsaken Lands. Is Northern Plains finally going to make a move? That's right, Yi Fei is from the North Sea and can be considered half a Beiyang martial artist. The king of Northern Plains will definitely be the first to react to the news of him becoming an invincible martial king. Besides the king of Northern Plains, the other rulers will definitely not be able to sit still. I wonder which ruler will rush over first. The young martial kings gathered and discussed amongst themselves. This made Zhu Zhen and the rest very nervous. In these few days of waiting, they had also used their fastest speed to spread the news of Yi Fei becoming a martial king back to Beiyang country. But compared to the other three countries, Beiyang country was too far away. Not long after the news spread, Zhu Zhen received a message from the capital. The king of Beiyang country and the sword maniac Holy Lord had been intercepted by the mysterious titled warrior Wu Jun. They couldn't rush over to protect Yi Fei at all. In other words, no one could help Yi Fei this time. Whether or not Yi Fei could escape the pursuit of the titled warrior Wu Jun depended entirely on Yi Fei's ability. Fu Renjie, judging by Zhu Zhen and the rest, it seems like the king of Beiyang country won't be able to make it. Lin Tianjiao and Fu Renjie stood together and discussed this matter in a low voice. Fu Renjie didn't say anything, but Chun Mengyao sighed worriedly. Sigh, he's just an ordinary martial artist. The sage sex inheritance and the sacred item are enough to make the titled warrior Wu Jun jealous. I think even the king of Beiyang country would be tempted, let alone the other titled warriors Wu Jun. Lin Tianjiao nodded and said worriedly, Now, I just hope that our king of Beiyang country won't come. After all, Yi Fei's combat power is 600,000. If he won the inheritance battle, his combat power might have reached 700,000. He can even kill a Tier 3 titled warrior Wu Jun. Even so, Yi Fei won't be able to escape. Although our northern region is lacking in talents, there are still many Tier 3 titled warriors Wu Jun. With a combat power of 700,000, it will be difficult for him to deal with a Tier 3 Wu Jun. Fu Renjie finally spoke, a hint of worry in his eyes. In Fu Renjie's heart, he hoped that he could fight Yi Fei. Boom! Just as everyone was talking noisily, the entire Forsaken Land shook again. The huge gate of all life appeared in front of everyone. Chapter 661. Old Man Qingyun. What? Yi Fei came out so quickly? All the young martial kings were shocked. In their opinion, Yi Fei should have hidden in the Forsaken Land since he knew it was dangerous. Even if it wasn't 3 to 5 years, it should have been 3 to 5 months. Who knew that Yi Fei would be so resolute and come out in just a few days? Although they were shocked, they couldn't help but admire Yi Fei's courage. No wonder he's the Sage King of the North. His courage alone is enough to make us admire him. Brother Yi. Hello, Sage King Yi. Many young martial kings greeted Yi Fei politely. Yi Fei, who came out of the Gate of All Life, was stunned for a moment before he realized that the Sage King they were talking about was him. Sage King, that's a good name. Ha ha ha, it seems that the Sword Mansion should be renamed to Sage Mansion. Yi Fei laughed as he looked at his companions. Seeing that Yi Fei was still joking at this time, Zhu Zhen and Jing Wushou were so anxious that blisters appeared on their mouth. This was truly a case of the emperor not being anxious but the eunuchs being anxious. Why couldn't this Yi Fei have a little bit of crisis awareness? Lin Tianjiao was speechless when he saw Yi Fei's calm and collected manner. He knows that Wu Jun is coming to kill him, and yet he can still remain so calm. Perhaps only Yi Fei has the courage to do so. Fu Renjie could only sigh in admiration. He knows that he's going to die, but he's still in such a hurry to come out. What is Yi Fei trying to do? Chen Mingyao was also shocked. What else can he do? He's just making a last-ditch effort. When Wu Jun arrives, let's see how he dies. Shin Tuming stood by the side and sneered when he heard this. He still remembered the humiliation of being killed by Yi Fei with a single kick. Shin Tuming was taking the risk to stay there. He wanted to see with his own eyes how Yi Fei would be killed by Wu Jun. It would be even better if he could fish in troubled waters. When Yi Fei looked at Fu Renjie and the other two, he also noticed Shin Tuming. When he saw Shin Tuming saying something to Chen Mingyao, he frowned. Coincidentally, Shin Tu-ming also saw Yi Fei's frown. Shin Tu-ming's eyes were suddenly filled with horror. It can't be that strange, right? Could it be that Yi Fei could hear me slandering him from so far away? Oh no. His combat strength has reached 600,000. He is even more horrifying than Wu Jun. If he kills me in public, I will die right away. This wasn't the 6 Dao Saint Palace with the protection of the power of reincarnation. If Yi Fei wanted to kill Shin Tuming would die instantly. Boom. The more he thought about it, the scarier it became. Suddenly, Shin Tuming felt an invisible pressure envelop him. Then, he saw Yi Fei raise his foot. Ah, spare me! Shin Tu-ming was so frightened that he screamed like a girl. His speed broke through the limit of a martial king. He rushed into the desert like a gust of wind and fell down. The other young martial kings were dumbfounded. Yi Fei was also speechless. He didn't do anything. All he did was raise his foot and shake off the dust on his shoes. Why did Shin Tu-ming have such a big reaction? Unfortunately, now wasn't the time to bicker with such a small fry. After shaking off the dust on his shoes, Yi Fei raised his foot and suddenly walked towards the sky. He pointed his sword in a certain direction and said, "Come out. Since you're here, why are you hiding?" Boom. The clouds exploded and a withered old man with a sinister face appeared. He wore azure clothes and held a string of skulls in his hand. The young martial kings below were all shocked. None of them expected that there would be a martial lord hiding in the clouds and spying on them. Ah, it's the leader of the demons, Old Man Qingyun. Rank 3 titled Wu Jun. Back then, among the demons, Old Man Qingyun was the most powerful one besides the devil-masked man. Didn't they say that Old Man Qingyun and the devil-masked man perished together in battle? I didn't expect him to still be alive. He's the first one to rush over. Many warriors recognized the identity of the old man in green clothes. He was actually a very powerful demon. 100 years ago, he had fought with the mysterious devil-masked man and seemed to have fallen. Now, it seemed that Old Man Qingyun was just faking his death. Yi Fei was also very surprised. Devil-masked man? Could it be that senior martial brother Zhao Qianjuan's alias in the northern region? Junior, you actually know the demon Zhao Qianjun and even call him senior martial brother. Ha ha, it seems like I've come at the right time. Not only can I obtain the Sacred Palace's inheritance, I can also kill this junior and vent my anger. Old Man Qingyun stared at Yi Fei with a face full of murderous intent. Yi Fei couldn't help laughing. Clearly, Old Man Qingyun was the leader of the evil demons, and was even a third-level titled martial lord. Yet, he called Zhao Qianjun a demon. He truly did not know what sort of infuriating things Zhao Qianjun did to that old demon back then. You want to kill me? Yi Fei walked towards the sky step by step and looked at Old Man Qingyun. Of course. Old Man Qingyun's face was full of arrogance. He fully displayed the demeanor of an evil demon leader. Evil aura and demonic flames covered his entire body. He coldly pointed at Yi Fei and said, "Young one, don't even think of stopping me. Although I am a third-level martial lord, I have the strength to kill a fourth-level martial lord. In front of me, you only have one path. Shut up." Yi Fei's voice was like thunder. He was too lazy to listen to this evil demon. He also coldly extended a finger and shook it at Old Man Qingyun. Don't talk nonsense with me. Since you've provoked me, you can either die today or scram. 2 words, choose one. Boom. Everyone was shocked. Many warriors thought that Yi Fei had lost his mind. How could Yi Fei say such words to a rank 3 titled Wu Jun, one of the most powerful demons? Junior, what did you say? You want me to die and you want me to get lost. How dare you? You're just a frog in a well. Even that bastard Zhao Qianjun didn't dare to. Boom. Old man Qingyun was just putting on the airs of a senior Wu Jun and was about to reprimand Yi Fei and take him down a notch. However, a horrifying ray of sword light had already slashed towards him. Noisy. If you don't get lost, then die. Junior, how dare you do this? Old man Qingyun was infuriated by Yi Fei's arrogance. His evil spirit spread out like a gust of wind and dark clouds. Ghost flame palm. Old man Qingyun quickly shot out layers of ghost fire, burning fiercely, like the screams of evil spirits, penetrating through the void, shaking the souls of people. Yi Fei also immediately felt that there were countless evil spirits screaming in his ears, causing his eardrums to hurt. Then, he realized that those ghost flames were from the enemies that old man Qingyun had killed. He had extracted their souls and refined them into ghost flames to help him harm people. What a vicious demonic art! Then, let me help you completely free yourselves from it. Path of Ares, power of Azura. Go away. Boom. All of a sudden, countless rays of blood-red light appeared around Yi Fei. He was like a blood-soaked Azura. His qi and blood were like dragons or wild beasts. His desire to fight was overwhelming. Chapter 662. Stomp Explode. Old Master Qingyun was about to go crazy. When he came over, he was full of confidence and had made up his mind to capture Yi Fei and interrogate him about the inheritance of the 6th-path sacred sex. However, Yi Fei's combat strength was too terrifying. He was only a king sage, but his combat strength was on par with Wu Jun, a rank 3 titled martial artist. How is this possible? Old Master Qin Yun's heart began to tremble. However, when he thought about the hidden inheritance of the sacred sex on Yi Fei, his eyes turned red. That was a supreme inheritance that could allow one to become a martial emperor or martial emperor. Who could resist such a temptation? 100 Ghosts Parade. Old Master Qin Yun decided to be ruthless. Terrifying shadows rushed out from his body one after another. They laughed sinisterly, causing the bright sky to darken. When Fu Renjie and Lin Tianjiao saw this, their faces changed. They shouted together, "Oh no, that's Old Master Qin Yun's strongest demonic skill, 100 Ghosts Parade. It's equivalent to 100 of his doppelgangers. It's extremely terrifying." Their words were clearly heard by Yi Fei. Yi Fei was also shocked. 100 evil spirit doppelgangers. Each of them has the strength of a rank 10 martial king. Old Master Qin Yun, is this your trump card? I have to say, it's really disappointing. Sky Destroyer Sword, burning the heavens. Boom. The huge sword light formed a pillar of fire that tore the sky apart. It also shattered the dark environment that Old Master Qin Yun had created. Only Yi Fei's sword light was left. It was like a raging fire burning the sky and destroying the earth. A single spark can start a prairie fire. At the same time, it can also magnify my attack. This is the burning the heavens. No matter how many doppelgangers you have, there is only one outcome for them under my sword, destruction. Sword fire burning the heavens. It was as if there was a terrifying rain of fire in the sky. Old man Qin Yun's 100 evil ghost avatars were all screaming and twisting under the fire. In the end, they turned into green smoke in the raging fire and dissipated in the world. Fu Renjie and Lin Tianjiao were both shocked. The tens of thousands of young martial kings who were watching the battle could not believe their eyes. Old man Qingyun's eyes suddenly flashed with fear. He could not believe that the strongest demonic technique, he had relied on to become famous was so weak in front of Yi Fei. This junior is even more terrifying than Zhao Qianjun back then. He actually destroyed the evil ghost clone that I spent hundreds of years refining with my blood, sweat, and tears. PFFF. Old man Qingyun watched as his clones turned into ashes. After the initial fear, he was so enraged that he almost lost his mind. He spat out a mouthful of blood on the spot, dyeing the sky red. However, as old man Qingyun spat out this mouthful of blood, his expression became crazed and sinister. Yi Fei! He roared furiously. This was the first time he'd called out Yi Fei's name, and his tone was filled with boundless rage and killing intent. His enmity was simply as deep as the ocean, and it was absolutely irreconcilable. Die for this old man! Demon's den! The sky turned dark once again. The surging demonic aura formed a terrifying dark cloud. Old man Qingyun was in the dark cloud, and at that moment, he was like a ferocious ghost that had crawled out from hell. He burned his essence blood and all his true energy, turning this place into a sinister demon's den. Yi Fei also clearly felt an invisible tearing force trying to tear his body apart, directly grabbing his soul out of his body and tearing it into pieces. This old man Qingyun's demonic technique is so strange. It's a spiritual attack. Yi Fei's expression turned grave. Wu Jun, a third-rank titled battle pet warrior, was indeed not easy to deal with. However, Yi Fei did not retreat. Just like how old man Qingyun wanted to kill him to obtain the legacy, Yi Fei also wanted to use old man Qingyun to tell Wu Jun that he was not to be bullied. Demonic War Golden Body. Yi Fei strode forward, looking like a demonic war demon. Rumbling sounds could be heard as Yi Fei relied on the strength of the demonic war golden body to forcefully walk through this sinister demon's den. The power of Azura. He punched. The power contained in his fist was even more horrifying than the special space that old man Qingyun had created with all his might. With a loud boom, the ghost region was blown apart by the power of Yi Fei's punch. Wah! Old man Qingyun screamed as well. He had been seriously injured. His sinister face was filled with terror. His indigo robe had been torn into rags. He was embarrassed and angry. This junior is actually so strong. This old man hates him. Old man Qingyun was about to go crazy from anger. His eyes were filled with even more madness. Yi Fei had just obtained the legacy, and he was already so powerful. If old man Qingyun could obtain such a legacy. Greed flashed in old man Qingyun's eyes. All the demonic aura was burning like a raging fire. Miraculously, old man Qingyun's wrinkled face recovered to that of a middle-aged man. Yi Fei, I don't believe that I can't kill you with my third-stage Wu Jun and 800,000 combat power. Old man Qingyun was in a frenzy. After being suppressed by Yi Fei several times, his face turned red. He felt as if he had been slapped in the face. Hence, he started to fight with all his might. I'll kill you! Rumble! The sky suddenly trembled. Yi Fei's figure had disappeared. At the same time, a foot stepped out of the void and stepped on old man Qingyun's head. Old man, you want to kill me with your strength? Rumble! Ethereal force exploded from old man Qingyun's foot. Before old man Qingyun could understand what was going on, Yi Fei had already stepped on his head from the sky to the ground. Not even in his dreams would old Qingyun have thought that a person in the young generation would be so terrifying. Even he, a third-level martial lord, could step on him just like that. Before he even landed, his head was already dizzy from anger and he furiously howled. However, it was useless. The strength of Yi Fei's feet was too terrifying. He continued to step on old man Qingyun's head like a cannonball. Old man Qingyun's entire body was stomped into the ground, leaving a huge crater in the ground. Many people looked at the crater in fear. However, they discovered that old man Qingyun was no longer in the crater. There was only a pile of meat on the ground. Old man Qingyun died with his eyes wide open. Many young martial kings sighed. The leader of the demons that had once dominated the northern region had died like this. Moreover, he had died in such an embarrassing manner. Not only had he died, but his reputation had also been ruined. And all of this was caused by Yi Fei. Most terrifyingly, Yi Fei's cultivation was only at the martial emperor realm. If he doesn't die, his name will shake the northern region. Fu Renjie had a complicated expression on his face. He looked at Yi Fei one last time, then turned and left. I didn't expect that even a third-stage titled battle pet warrior like Wu Jun would be no match for him. I hope the monarch of the Beihuang country won't do anything stupid. Lin Tianjiao smiled bitterly. He also turned around and left. He was afraid that if he continued to watch, he would be deeply affected. Only Chen Mengyao stayed where she was. She was shocked and flustered because she had just received a message from the Chen family's forefather. Chapter 663. Wu Jun strike together. That was also the reason why Yi Fei wanted to forcefully kill old man Qingyun. Firstly, that old demon had grievances with Zhao Qianjun. He could not let the tiger return to the mountain. Secondly, Yi Fei wanted to intimidate the titled martial lords who were secretly spying on him. His intimidation had also achieved a certain level of effect. When Yi Fei was fighting with old man Qingyun, he sensed that more than a dozen people were spying on him. However, when old man Qingyun was stomped to death by Yi Fei, not only did he lose his life, but he also lost his face. Half of the titled Wu Jun who were spying on him were scared out of their wits, including the forefather of the Qin family. This is not good. Yi Fei is too powerful. Even old man Qingyun with 800,000 combat power is no match for him. If we go up against him, we might be killed in a second. The legacy of the Glory sect is indeed powerful. Too bad, this man is not someone we can mess with. Some of the titled Wu Jun, who were below the third rank of the Glory sect, left after discussing with each other. They no longer dared to show their faces in front of Yi Fei. The rest of them didn't leave, but they didn't dare to peek at Yi Fei too often. They were hiding in the dark, waiting for something. Yi Fei didn't care about them. After taking away old man Qingyun's infinite space ring, he summoned Zhu Zhen, Jing Wushou and the others. Zhu Zhen, take this martial saint's bone back and give it to the king of the Northern Ocean Kingdom. Senior brother Jing, go with Zhu Zhen and the others. You can take care of each other, Yi Fei said in a serious tone. Jing Wushou and Zhu Zhen were stunned. Luo Shi and Qin Bing looked at Yi Fei with concern. Yi Fei, you're not coming with us? Me? I cannot go with you. Right now, I have already become the must-kill target of the titled martial lords. As long as I do not step into the 12th level of the martial saint realm, they will not give up on the chance to seize the legacy. Yi Fei shook his head and glanced at everyone one last time. Holding the phoenix blood sword, he stepped into the sky again and said coldly, I know that some of you are still unwilling to give up and want to steal my legacy. That is my business and it has nothing to do with you. You can attack me, but if anyone dares to harm my friends and family, I swear, I will take you down with me. I swear, even if I can't kill you, I will. Boom. Without saying anything else, Yi Fei ripped apart space with his bare hands and instantly disappeared from the heaven-forsaken land. At the same time he left, 3 aged figures appeared in the sky one after another. They were all titled martial lords who had concealed their identities. They were wholeheartedly trying to make breakthroughs into stronger realms. Originally, when they saw Yi Fei's terrifying battle prowess, it wasn't that they hadn't thought of capturing Yi Fei's relatives and friends to threaten him. However, after hearing Yi Fei's warning before he left, a trace of seriousness flashed across their faces. This junior is not to be trifled with. Anyway, the legacy is with him. We only need to look for him. There's no need to involve others. Humph, an ordinary martial artist without any foundation dares to dream of becoming an invincible martial saint. Let alone us, even the entire northern territory will not agree to this. Bang! The two Wu Jun's expressions were cold as they looked down with disdain. In the end, they were still a little afraid of Yi Fei, and did not dare to attack him directly. They instantly disappeared from the sky and chased after Yi Fei's aura. Yi Fei and the two titled martial kings did not notice that among the crowd, a young martial king's pitch-black eyes suddenly turned as red as blood when he saw Yi Fei leave. His gaze first swept over Zhu Zhen and Jing Wushou, and a hint of fear flashed in his eyes. Finally, this gaze locked onto Luo Shi, who was the weakest among them. His scarlet eyes revealed a hint of cruelty. In the desert, Yi Fei continuously used the Greater Void Steps to teleport, trying to shake off the pursuit of the two Wu Juns who were at the third rank. However, he had clearly underestimated the determination of these two Wu Juns to chase after him. Just as Yi Fei entered the depths of the desert, the two Wu Juns used special methods to block him. "Do you really want to go against me? There is no enmity between us. I don't want to kill you." Yi Fei stood on the sand dune with a solemn expression. Unfortunately, he did not want to kill anyone. Many times he had no choice. Hearing Yi Fei's words, the two Wu Jun sneered. "Haha, you don't want to kill us? Brat, don't think that you can act all high and mighty just because you obtained the sage sex inheritance. Our northern region can't have an invincible sage king. This is a threat to all of us titled Wu Jun. If you know what's good for you, hand over the inheritance and we can consider sparing your life." The two martial kings' expressions were cold and arrogant, as if they were certain that they could defeat Yi Fei. After all, they were both third-rank martial kings. Although they were not as strong as Old Man Qingyun, there were two of them now. The power of the two of them working together was much more difficult to deal with than Old Man Qingyun alone. Yi Fei also knew this. Seeing that they could not come to an agreement, he did not bother to say more. He raised the Phoenix Blood Sword and coldly pointed at the two. "If you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish." What an impudent junior! How dare you be so arrogant in front of us when you're about to die? Give us your life. Boom! Boom! Two terrifying auras filled the sky, causing the space to creak. The two titled Wu Jun attacked at the same time. One of them held a saber while the other held a spear. Dazzling rays of light turned into two shooting stars, fiercely attacking Yi Fei. "Sai, why do you have to do this? I didn't want to kill anyone. Unfortunately, you've forced me to kill you." Yi Fei's eyes flashed with helplessness. Then, he slowly raised his hand and released a shocking sword light. Soon, the sword light turned into a sword vortex, enveloping one of the titled Wu Jun heaven's burial style, infinite weakening. How is this possible? The titled Wu Jun, who was enveloped by the vortex, suddenly felt that his peak combat strength was constantly weakening in the vortex. From 600,000, it rapidly decreased to 500,000, then 400,000. Before he could extricate himself from this whirlpool in horror, a voice rang out. Boom! Heaven and earth shook again. With the Phoenix Blood Sword in his hand, Yi Fei had already cut the other titled Wu Jun in half. The latter's body turned into ashes, drifting in the air. "That's impossible. How can you maintain such a peak combat strength after the fight with Master Qingyun?" No, Wu Jun was frightened. He suddenly regretted that he had been too greedy. He shouldn't have chased after Yi Fei with just the two of them. As he shouted, he used all his strength to release a huge ray of sword light. Finally, he got rid of the influence of the heaven's burial style and ran away without looking back. Yi Fei didn't intend to chase him. The moment the titled Wu Jun ran away, Yi Fei raised his Phoenix Blood Sword again. A ray of sword light formed into a beam of light and slashed forward. "Damn you! I'm not done with you!" Escape talisman. At this critical moment, Wu Jun held back his pain. He reluctantly took out a jade talisman and crushed it. In an instant, he had turned into a ray of light and disappeared into the sky. Boom! The sword light pierced through his shadow. Chapter 664. A powerful enemy attacked. Yi Fei's face was a bit unsightly. His current battle power was only close to 800,000. The reason why he could continuously kill 2 martial lords and force the other one away was mostly because of the Phoenix Blood Sword's amplification. However, even with the Phoenix Blood Sword, his combat power was only on par with the 4th tier titled Wu Jun. If they fought, it wouldn't be easy to determine the winner. If he wasn't careful and the other party took out a sacred weapon, he would be at risk of dying. Judging from this aura, it's obviously a powerful enemy. It's not good to fight head-on. It's better to escape. Yi Fei's face turned serious and he turned to escape. As for where to escape, Yi Fei had a preliminary plan. He would escape to the underground maze where Zhao Qianjun used to cultivate. Not only was it Zhao Qianjun's base, but it was also the tomb of an ancient martial sage. There were countless traps and formations there. It was the best place to hide. Wait until I enter the maze and successfully cultivate the God of War path. Then I'll deal with these people. Yi Fei was a little angry. It wasn't easy for him to become an invincible sacred king, but he was treated as prey by the titled Wu Jun. Anyone would be unhappy. Just as Yi Fei used the void steps to leave, a huge sand boat rushed over. On the sand boat stood a man in a yellow robe with a cold face. He stared coldly at the void where Yi Fei had left. He didn't say anything. He just punched out and the void exploded. Suddenly, a gate appeared. The man in the yellow robe sneered and strode in. Yi Fei, where are you going? The inheritance of the 6 sacred sects is not something a low-level martial artist like you can have. Hand it over and I, Song Sihai, may spare your life. Boom! In the desert, Yi Fei had just used the great void steps to leave when suddenly, an invisible pressure came from the void. The pressure was so strong that it almost filled the entire sky. It also sealed off Yi Fei's chances of escaping into the void. Shortly after, a realm gate appeared in the sky. A yellow-robed man with his hands behind his back slowly walked out. His aura was as vast as the ocean. He stood high up in the air and looked down coldly at Yi Fei. It was as if he was looking at an ant struggling on the ground. Yi Fei looked at the man's luxurious yellow robes and quickly realized who he was. You're the king of Northern Plains. Well, seeing me come in person, why don't you kneel? Song Sihai said indifferently. His body was vast and mighty, like the sea, very terrifying. Under this pressure, Yi Fei felt his heart tremble. However, he stood straight like an indestructible sword. He laughed loudly and said, "Ha, I, Yi Fei, have only knelt to my parents in my entire life. I don't even kneel to the heavens and earth. How can I kneel to you, the monarch of the mortal world? How dare you? How dare you be so weak in front of me? You'd better remember that if I want you to kneel, you have to kneel. Kneel down and tell me honestly about the inheritance of the sage sect. Don't leave out a single word." Boom! The terrifying pressure almost filled the entire sky. It was like an invisible hand that slapped Yi Fei fiercely. It also sealed off all possible escape routes for Yi Fei. What a sinister king of Northern Plains. Not only does he want to kill me, but he also wants me to be humiliated before I die. I will not allow this. At most, I will awaken the undying sword soul and perish together with this old thing. I want to fight. Yi Fei's face was cold. His whole body was burning with golden flames. The battle demon golden body had been pushed to the limit. He wanted to kill and fight now. His actions had completely angered the king of Northern Plains. Although the king of Northern Plains was only a stage 4 Wu Jun, he was also a genius when he was young. He had even entered the Forsaken Land. His combat strength had already reached the terrifying level of 900,000. At this moment, facing Yi Fei, whose combat strength had barely reached 800,000, how could the king of Northern Plains take him seriously? Kill. Without any warning, the king of northern plains had already made his move. A bright full moon appeared behind him. Immediately, it formed a huge shadow of a full moon and slashed down fiercely. Rumble! The desert boiled under this attack. The quicksand turned into dust and a huge sand dune formed a deep pit. However, above this pit, Yi Fei coldly raised the phoenix blood sword. Endless sword fire surrounded him. The sharp sword light was even more dazzling than the stars as it pierced through the full moon. This caused the northern Yuan monarch to be greatly astonished. So this is the sage sex inheritance that you have grasped. It is indeed powerful. Unfortunately, you are just a lowly martial artist who doesn't even have a special physique or bloodline. Boom. The wrath of a king could kill 1,000,000 people and cause blood to flow. The Northern Plains king's face was filled with killing intent. Seeing that Yi Fei was still able to resist, a cold moon scimitar suddenly appeared in his hand. The scimitar was as bright as the moon and flowed like water. When it appeared, the phoenix blood sword faintly trembled. Yi Fei's expression also became extremely ugly. He could tell at a glance that the scimitar in the king of Northern Plains' hand was actually a saint artifact. It was even better than the nation artifact of the Northern Plains. It was obvious that the king of Northern Plains was determined to kill Yi Fei. Howling moon slash! The saint artifact was raised high and then mercilessly slashed down. The fear of death caused Yi Fei's hands and feet to turn cold. Only his eyes were as sharp as ever. Within them, the flames of war burned fiercely. Senior Stone said that as disciples of the Azura Saint Palace, as long as our hearts do not die, the flames of war will never be extinguished. Even if I die, I will fight. Yi Fei roared. His eyes were red as he raised the phoenix blood sword in his hand. Boundless flames formed a terrifying sword light that ignited the clouds and tore the heavens and earth apart. The power of Azura, Annihilation Sword. Bury the heavens. Swallow the heavens. Burn the heavens. Destroy the heavens. Boom, 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 boom. Yi Fei continuously attacked with his sword, each strike more terrifying than the last. When he attacked with the last strike, all the true Yuan in his body ignited like a raging inferno and then exploded. At this moment, the heavens and earth lost all light and the sun and moon dimmed. Only Yi Fei's sword light and the king of Northern Plains' moon slash rapidly collided and were destroyed at the same time. The complete annihilation sword allowed Yi Fei to successfully block the king of Northern Plains' terrifying attack. Even though Yi Fei collapsed into the pit after using this strike, he had lost most of his combat strength. But the king of Northern Plains' face still flashed with anger. You're just an inferior martial artist, yet you're able to block my all-out attack. Very good, very good. Since you're not willing to tell me the inheritance you obtained, then I'll kill you and extract your soul to interrogate you. Howling moon slash. The king of Northern Plains' face was cold and indifferent. He raised the full moon in his hand once more. Although Yi Fei had blocked his all-out strike, he was confident that his second strike would be able to tear Yi Fei to shreds. Not good, this old dog is serious. If I don't go all out, then I might really die. Yi Fei's face flashed with fear before it turned cold again. Go all out. Yi Fei did not look at the full moon that was about to fall. He immediately decided to disregard everything and summon the undying sword soul within his body. Wait! Chapter 665. My people too. How dare you? Yi Fei raised his head and looked at the familiar yet strange figure in the sky. The figure was snow-white, like a goddess of ice, ethereal and otherworldly. She was like a queen of fire, full of terror. She walked out of the ice and snow and waved her hand. The cold air in the sky froze as if it could freeze the clouds. An iceberg rose from the ground and stood in front of Yi Fei. She just stood on the ice mountain and looked at Yi Fei. She also looked at the Northern Plains king who was making a move. She didn't know why, but the Northern Plains king suddenly felt a great fear in his heart. A titled martial lord, and such a young extraordinary woman at that. Who are you? When did we have a new Wu Jun in the northern region? How come I didn't know? As the king of Northern Plains spoke, he raised the full moon in his hand again. A large amount of moonlight emerged and gradually formed the image of a snow-white wolf. God worships the moon. The Northern Plains monarch slashed at Yi Fei with one hand using the moon howling slash and the other hand using the moon-worshipping deity to probe this icy woman. Yi Fei's face turned incomparably worried. Zhao Yu, watch out! He wanted to rush to Zhao Yu's side and protect Zhao Yu like he did in the past. However, Yi Fei helplessly realized that he had used up all of his vital energy to unleash the complete annihilation sword. At this moment, he only had one thing left to do, and that was to summon the immortal sword soul and fight the Northern Yuan monarch. But did he really have to use the immortal sword soul in front of Zhao Yu? Yi Fei hesitated. No one knew better than him how terrifying the immortal sword soul was. Once it was released, it would cause an unimaginable disaster. In that disaster, Yi Fei couldn't guarantee that he would survive, let alone Zhao Yu. Don't worry, his attack is too weak. It can't hurt me or you. Ice and Snow Universe. On the ice mountain, Zhao Yu raised her hand and blew out a sheet of ice and snow from her palm. Instantly, the already cold temperature dropped to the freezing point. Whether it was the king of Northern Plains' howling moon slash or his god worshipping the moon, they were all frozen by a layer of ice and snow. Then, the chill continued to spread from the ground to the king of Northern Plains' body. Crack! The earth was completely frozen. Together with the king of Northern Plains, they were all turned into shining ice sculptures. Zhao Yu, when did you become so strong? Yi Fei clicked his tongue. Zhao Yu's attack had to have a combat strength of more than 1 million. Otherwise, she wouldn't have been able to freeze the king of Northern Plains so easily. After freezing the king of Northern Plains, Zhao Yu finally had time to turn around and look at Yi Fei. Her eyes were cold and complicated. Sometimes there was killing intent and sometimes there was confusion. In the end, she seemed to have thought of something. Zhao Yu was embarrassed, which was rare for her. She stomped her foot and deliberately threw a disdainful look at Yi Fei. It's not that I'm strong. It's that you're too weak. You're only at the 4th rank of the titled rank, Wu Jun. I can kill him with a single thought. But you were almost killed because of him? Zhao Yu's face was filled with confidence. That was the innate confidence of DZ martial artists. They were born extraordinary and their luck was flourishing. For some reason, looking at Zhao Yu, who had reappeared in front of him, Yi Fei suddenly felt depressed. He had fought for his life in the heaven-forsaken land to gain his current combat strength. Zhao Yu, on the other hand, had not even entered the heaven-forsaken land. But she already had a combat strength of 1 million. She seemed to have become a titled rank Wu Jun. This was the huge gap between them. You've entered the 12th rank of the martial saint realm. What rank are you at now, Wu Jun? Yi Fei struggled to stand up and asked. This time, Zhao Yu took the initiative to come to Yi Fei's side. An undetectable blush flashed across her face. But she still carried Yi Fei and stood on the ice mountain together. 1st rank of Wu Jun. Zhao Yu said her current rank. It turned out that she had just entered the 12th rank of the martial saint realm, but she already had a combat strength of 1 million. Indeed, comparisons were odious. More importantly, Zhao Yu was a woman. If this news spread, all the young martial kings in the northern region would be sad. On the ice mountain, when the king of Northern Plains heard that Zhao Yu was only at the 1st rank of Wu Jun, but she could freeze him in an instant, he almost fainted from anger. He had dominated the northern region for hundreds of years. But in the end, he was slapped in the face by a little girl. The most despicable thing was that Zhao Yu was obviously on Yi Fei's side. I must kill these 2 juniors. I can't let them grow. Boom. The ice mountain suddenly cracked. The king of northern plains' chi and blood turned into a dragon. His entire body began to burn his essence blood. Stimulated by the essence blood, the full moon in his hand suddenly became like a real moon, blooming with dazzling brilliance. Oh no, he's going to go all out. Yi Fei didn't expect the king of northern plains to be able to break out of the ice. Subconsciously, he immediately stood in front of Zhao Yu. This made Zhao Yu slightly stunned. She didn't know why, but a smile appeared on her cold face. She made the right choice. You're indeed a trustworthy person. Unfortunately, you're destined to have no future. With a soft sigh, Zhao Yu's gaze on the king of northern plains suddenly became fierce. Her snow-white hair suddenly became as red as fire. The ice goddess suddenly became the fire goddess. Zhao Yu's personality also changed slightly. She glared at the king of northern plains with her fiery eyes and coldly pointed at him. You dare to bully my people? Then you'll have to bear my wrath. Boom. The shattered ice mountain didn't disappear. Instead, it suddenly turned into a blazing flame. Within this flame, another flaming phoenix swooped down. It opened its mouth and spat out a strange flame that was even more terrifying than the outer divine fire in Yi Fei's eyes. The blazing flame pillar once again enveloped the king of northern plains who had shattered the ice mountain. This made him scream in fear. Impossible! This is the demonic hellfire. No, I don't want to die. I'm the king of northern plains. How can I lose to a woman? Moon worship. A blood-red light pillar suddenly shot out from the king of northern plains' body. It rushed into the full moon saint weapon in his hand. He was stimulating the saint weapon and escaping from this dangerous flame. Boom! Zhao Yu also attacked again. A broken gray sword appeared in her hand. She swung it forward forcefully. A light even more terrifying than a saint weapon suddenly erupted from the broken sword. That's an emperor weapon? Yi Fei looked at this beam of light in shock. In the eyes of the northern plains monarch, this was a deep fear. He let out a cry of fear and used all his strength to resist this beam of light. But this gray light still shattered the full moon saint weapon in his hand like lightning. It also shattered the king of northern plains' body. In the light of the fire, Yi Fei could clearly see the shock and fear in the eyes of the king of northern plains before he died. Chapter 666. The intellectual sword cuts the threads of love. Zhao Yu, why did you help me? Yi Fei was silent for a while as he watched the king of northern plains burn to ashes, but he still asked the question in his heart. Then, he felt a hand suddenly reach out from behind and hit him hard. Bam! The battle demon's golden body perfectly helped Yi Fei resolve the sneak attack from the person behind him. He didn't need to turn around to know who had attacked him. Empress Dowager, you old witch are not dead yet. Although he wasn't injured, Yi Fei had exhausted his vital essence and lost most of his combat strength. The Empress Dowager's attack still made Yi Fei's body sway a few times. He was about to fall on the spot and coincidentally fell into Zhao Yu's arms. At this moment, Yi Fei suddenly felt a little grateful to the Empress Dowager. The Empress Dowager's face immediately turned ashen when her sneak attack failed and Yi Fei even took advantage of her. She roared angrily. When she saw Yi Fei, it was as if she saw an irreconcilable enemy who had deceived her great-granddaughter. She lost her composure and screamed. Yi Fei, you scourge! Why are you still not dead? Why are you still not dead? How long are you going to let him cling on to you? Boom! Zhao Yu finally came to her senses. Her face turned red and an icy aura appeared on her body. She immediately froze Yi Fei into an ice sculpture and kicked him 5 meters away. Yi Fei couldn't help but roar in his heart, Empress Dowager, you old witch! Seeing that Yi Fei had been kicked away, the Empress Dowager was still angry. She immediately urged, now is the best time to kill him. If you kill him now, you will no longer have any flaws. Your future path to the Emperor will be smooth. Yi Fei finally realized that Zhao Yu hadn't come to save him, but to kill him. He couldn't help but smile bitterly. His body shook and the ice sculpture shattered. Zhao Yu, I didn't expect you to come to kill me. Yi Fei held the phoenix blood sword. Even if he knew that he couldn't win, he wouldn't just sit and wait for death. Let's fight. With a sigh, Yi Fei helplessly raised the phoenix blood sword. Seeing this sword, Zhao Yu seemed to have thought of something and let out a heavy sigh. Yi Fei, I don't want to kill you. After all, you are the only person she has ever liked, and the only person she has ever loved. Zhao Yu's eyes flashed with a hint of pity. It was clearly different from the previous Zhao Yu. At the same time, Zhao Yu also mentioned her. Yi Fei's heart suddenly trembled. He finally understood what Zhao Yu meant. After all, Zhao Yu cultivated the supreme unruffled emotions Tao. This was a very unique cultivation technique. After cultivating, every time Zhao Yu broke through a major realm, he would lose all his previous memories and become a blank piece of paper. It was equivalent to being reborn. Similarly, for the reborn Zhao Yu, his previous memories were of his past self, not his present self. That was why he called her her. Thinking of this, Yi Fei's expression couldn't help but become a little gloomy. He knew that the current Zhao Yu was no longer the Zhao Yu of the past. He felt a little heartache and anger. Old witch, you said that I harmed Zhao Yu. I think the one who really harmed Zhao Yu is you. No wonder Zhao Qianjun would rather go to Zhongzhou than see his mother. Yi Fei stared at the Empress Dowager angrily. These words completely poked the Empress Dowager where it hurt the most. The Empress Dowager's face was frosty. Her eyes were spitting fire as she pointed at Yi Fei and scolded, Yi Fei, you scourge. I'll teach you a lesson now. You'll do it. Kill him now. The Empress Dowager turned around and ordered Zhao Yu. Zhao Yu didn't pay any attention to the Empress Dowager's order. At this moment, Zhao Yu's state of mind had once again sunk into the great oblivion. She looked at Yi Fei with a calm and emotionless gaze. Yi Fei, I won't kill you because you once risked your life to help her. But I must cut off the fetters between us. How are you going to cut it off? Yi Fei suddenly had a bad premonition. It's very simple. Do you see it? This is the Emperor weapon I obtained from the great Emperor of Oblivion's mystic realm. It's called the Intellectual Sword. It's a very unique and taboo weapon. As long as I stab it into your heart, it can cut off the love between you and me. Between you and her. When the time comes, the flaw you left in my heart will naturally disappear and I can completely enter the great oblivion. Zhao Yu took out the broken gray sword. Only now did Yi Fei realize that it was the legendary intellectual sword. Back then, the great Emperor of Oblivion had used the intellectual sword to cut off all love and all enmity with the world. From then on, he became one with the world and became a great emperor of the martial Tao. At the same time, Zhao Yu had disappeared for 3 years in order to find the intellectual sword. She wanted to borrow its unique power to cut off the last link between her and Yi Fei. No, I won't agree to it. Yi Fei suddenly growled. He didn't want Zhao Yu to do this. That's not up to you. Zhao Yu's gaze was very calm. There were no fluctuations in her emotions. She had already arrived in front of Yi Fei. Her power level of 1 million transformed into an invisible mountain. It immediately pressed down on Yi Fei, making him unable to move. Yi Fei could only smile bitterly as he watched the intellectual sword in Zhao Yu's hand get closer and closer to his chest. Zhao Yu, you will definitely regret this. Yi Fei couldn't resist. He could only silently close his eyes. Sorry, I'm not her. I have no feelings for you and I will never regret it. Zhao Yu's gaze was very firm. But for some reason, when she was about to stab down, her hand trembled slightly. It was as if something in her heart was desperately preventing her from doing all this. The Zhao Yu of the past hasn't disappeared. She is in your heart. You are Zhao Yu and Zhao Yu is you. Yi Fei suddenly opened his eyes. His gaze became very, very bright. From Zhao Yu's hesitant actions, he seemed to understand something. A hint of panic flashed across Zhao Yu's eyes. But soon, the Empress Dowager's cold, urging voice came from behind her. What are you waiting for? Now that you have been reborn, you are no longer the same person as before. Stab the intellectual sword in and you will completely forget those memories that don't belong to you. Have you forgotten what you promised Aijia? Have you forgotten the mission you bear? Or is it that when you see this brat, your heart is starting to soften again? The Empress Dowager's voice became sharper and sharper. Zhao Yu's gaze also became colder and colder. She finally glanced at Yi Fei and suddenly said firmly, I'm not her. My heart won't soften. Pooh. The intellectual sword quickly stabbed towards Yi Fei's heart. Yi Fei also felt a pain in his heart. No, it should be a little itchy. He looked down and saw that the intellectual sword was only pressed against his chest and did not stab down. Yi Fei could not help but be taken aback as he looked at Zhao Yu in shock. Zhao Yu's face suddenly turned red. She felt that it was a little embarrassing to be stared at by Yi Fei like this. Hence, in a fit of pique, she stabbed down again with all her might. Strangely, the intellectual sword was still pressed against Yi Fei's chest. No matter how hard Zhao Yu tried, it could not pierce into Yi Fei's heart and sever the connection between the two of them. How can this be? Why can't I sever it? Zhao Yu was also stunned. Could it be that our feelings for each other are so deep that even the intellectual sword can't sever it? Yi Fei automatically filled in the blanks. Then, he saw Zhao Yu's dark face staring at him with an unfriendly gaze. Chapter 667. The depressed Zhao Yu die, evil creature, die. Seeing that Zhao Yu couldn't bear to kill Yi Fei, the Empress Dowager walked over and grabbed Zhao Yu's hand. Together with the intellectual sword in her hand, she stabbed Yi Fei's body. Clang! Clang! Yi Fei's clothes were quickly torn to shreds, revealing his muscular body. Zhao Yu seemed to have thought of something, and a hint of shyness flashed across his cold eyes, which then turned into a thick sense of surprise. The Empress Dowager seemed to have gone crazy. She stared at Yi Fei and said crazily, You scourge! Why can't the intellectual sword pierce through your body no matter how hard I try? Is it fake? Or did Wang Qing the Great lie to us? Zhao Yu shook her head and said with certainty, It can't be fake. This intellectual sword has already proven its power. It can even kill a titled martial artist, Wu Jun. How can it be fake? Even if it's not fake, there must be something wrong with this guy's body. Yes, he obtained the 6 Dao inheritance. He must have used a secret technique to stop you from severing your feelings for him. The Empress Dowager's eyes were red. She wanted to crush Yi Fei into powder. She wanted to see how Yi Fei could provoke Zhao Yu and ruin her grand plan of grooming an empress. Since the intellectual sword is useless, you can kill him yourself. The Empress Dowager looked at Yi Fei viciously. Old witch. Yi Fei stared coldly at the Empress Dowager. If possible, he really wanted to kill this old witch right now. If she hadn't forced him, Zhao Yu wouldn't have cultivated such a heartless skill. Unfortunately, under the suppression of Zhao Yu's 1 million combat power, unless he used the immortal sword soul, he wouldn't be able to break free from Zhao Yu's suppression and kill the Empress Dowager in front of him. Are we really going to awaken the undying sword soul and become enemies with Zhao Yu? Yi Fei was a little hesitant. Similarly, Zhao Yu's face was full of hesitation. To her, killing Yi Fei now was the best opportunity for her to cut off her connection with Yi Fei. As long as Yi Fei died, her Tao of the Great Oblivion would immediately be perfected. However, when she saw that Yi Fei still held the Phoenix Blood sword tightly in his hand, Zhao Yu's heart trembled strangely. A corner of her mind that she had forgotten reappeared in her mind. It was a strange memory that made her feel very vexed. Yi Fei, if you don't want to die, then tell me honestly. What method did you use to prevent the intellectual sword from hurting you? Zhao Yu sighed softly and didn't listen to the Empress Dowager's opinion. Instead, she stared coldly into Yi Fei's eyes. Yi Fei also looked very seriously into Zhao Yu's eyes and said in a low voice, "If I said that our feelings have already surpassed the intellectual sword, would you believe me?" Hearing Yi Fei's strange words, Zhao Yu's expression clearly became a little flustered. "Yi Fei, you're really boring." After all, she cultivated the Tao of the Great Oblivion and was a martial artist with emperor's physique. Zhao Yu was born extraordinary, so how could she be affected by Yi Fei's words? She quickly became calm again. "Yi Fei, no matter what method you use, this method definitely won't last long. If you want to waste time, I'll waste time with you." Boom! Zhao Yu waved her hand and an ice mountain rose from the ground, sealing her, the Empress Dowager, and Yi Fei inside at the same time, preventing the desert fire poison from attacking them. This also made it convenient for her to study how to use the intellectual sword to cut off the last connection with Yi Fei. Yi Fei felt incomparably depressed. Could it be that he would tell Zhao Yu that her research could only be in vain? It was obvious that the intellectual sword could not hurt him because he had the undying sword soul secretly protecting him. The intellectual sword had a spirit. When it sensed the aura of the undying sword soul, it naturally did not dare to hurt Yi Fei. It seems that this intellectual sword is very strange. Zhao Yu doesn't seem to be able to completely control it. I just don't know how long Zhao Yu will keep me trapped here. Yi Fei thought gloomily. The only thing that made him feel at ease was that the new Zhao Yu's personality was not bad. At least she didn't listen to the old witch Empress Dowager's instigation and have the intention to kill him. At this time, of course, Yi Fei would not take the initiative to expose the secret of the undying sword soul. Instead, he deliberately lowered his head and let Zhao Yu do whatever she wanted. In his heart, he was secretly planning to escape. At the same time that Yi Fei was trapped in the desert, the young martial kings who were still gathered outside the Forsaken Land also began to go their separate ways. Chen Mengyao was taken away by the Chen family's patriarch on the spot, afraid that something would happen to her. The Northern Desolation Country was even more exaggerated. They directly sent 10 invincible martial kings and 100,000 soldiers to surround the entire Quicksand City. They even spared no expense and directly set up a long-distance teleportation gate to make it convenient for Lin Tianjiao to return as quickly as possible. When he returned to the palace, he saw that the Northern Desolation Country's monarch had personally come out to welcome him instead of chasing after Yi Fei. Only then did Lin Tianjiao heave a sigh of relief. "Monarch, fortunately you didn't chase after Yi Fei." "Chase after Yi Fei? Why would I chase after this junior? We have a good relationship with the Northern Ocean Country. I'm afraid that other than that idiot, the King of Northern Plains, no one would be so arrogant as to chase after the successor of an ancient sacred sect." The Northern Desolation Country's monarch laughed. Lin Tianjiao was very surprised. The King of Northern Plains has already made his move? Then isn't Yi Fei very dangerous? Dangerous? Do you think that the people of the ancient sacred sect are fools? It wasn't easy for them to choose their successor, and then they deliberately let him go and send him to his death? Fu Renjie, you have to remember that in this world, there are two kinds of sections. One is the sects that are overseen by experts. Such sects are usually short-lived and can't last long. The other is the ancient sacred sect. They have been in Wangu for a long time. As long as the inheritance continues, even if such a sect doesn't have a single disciple, it's still not something that ordinary Wu Jun like us can provoke. In another palace, the Northern Desolation Country's monarch kindly warned Fu Renjie, who had just returned. Just like the Northern Desolation Country's monarch, this time, he also resisted the temptation. I'm afraid that only a greedy person like the King of Northern Plains would set his sights on Yi Fei. Does he really think that these sects with the inheritance of Wangu will let their inheritance fall into the hands of outsiders? The Northern Desolation Country's monarch looked at the gradually darkening sky with a cold smile on his face. Fu Renjie's body trembled. Uncle, do you mean that if Yi Fei is in trouble, the 6 sacred sects might intervene? The Northern Desolation Country's monarch suddenly looked at Fu Renjie excitedly and laughed. Haha, how many years has it been? You're finally willing to call me uncle. This way, even if I die in battle soon, I won't have to worry about the Northern Desolation Country having no successor. The Northern Desolation Country's monarch suddenly laughed loudly. This gave Fu Renjie a bad feeling. However, before he could ask any questions, a terrifying force suddenly imprisoned him in the depths of the palace. Fu Renjie, from today onwards you will hide in there. You can't come out until you're a titled Wu Jun. Don't worry, your uncle will risk his life and protect you. The Northern Desolation Country's monarch's eyes flashed with determination. Then, he looked in the direction of the Northern Desolation Country. Chapter 668. The Death of a Monarch. Zhu Jun, Beigong Chun, let's part ways here. Jing Wushou brought his men over to bid farewell to Zhu Jun. The Taixin Sacred Ground was in the North Sea. After participating in the Forsaken Lands assessment, they had to return as soon as possible to report back to the Sacred Ground. All right, Brother Jing, let's part ways here. I hope that Yi Fei is blessed by the heavens. Zhu Jun could not help but worry when he saw that they had all returned and there was no news of Yi Fei. Don't worry, Fourth Prince. Brother Fei will be fine. Luo Shi's attitude was very firm. Then, he said to Jing Wushou, Senior Brother Jing, I won't return to the Sacred Ground for now. I plan to go home and move the Luo family to the North Sea Pass. I see. Be careful, Luo Shi. Jing Wushou nodded and left with the 10th Prince, Shifeng, and the others. Zhu Jun and the others rushed to the imperial capital. Luo Shi also spread his wings and turned into a spiritual eagle, planning to return to his hometown alone. He did not know that when he left, a pair of bloodthirsty eyes stared coldly at him. The eyes then looked up in the direction of the imperial capital of Beiyang Kingdom and laughed coldly. Not long after, the imperial capital of Beiyang Kingdom. Inside the palace, the king of Beiyang Kingdom sat on the dragon throne with a tired face. Beside him stood the Northern Heavenly King and the Western Heavenly King. However, these 2 heavenly kings did not look too good. The Western Heavenly King had lost an arm, but seeing the king of Beiyang Kingdom's weak state, the 2 did not hesitate to transfer their vital essences to the king of Beiyang Kingdom. Ahem, there's no need. The king of Beiyang Kingdom smiled, but his expression was obviously weak. This made the Western Heavenly King and the Northern Heavenly King very sad. They knelt together and said, Your Majesty, take care of yourself. Take care. I want to take care, but I'm afraid I won't be able to hold on until Yi Fei returns with the divine bone. Now that the Eastern Heavenly King and the Southern Heavenly King have died in battle, the 2 of you are the last hope of Beiyang Kingdom. Before the strong enemies come, leave immediately and find Zhu and the others. Then take them to the Northern Wilderness Kingdom and wait for Yi Fei's return. The king ordered. The Western Heavenly King and the Northern Heavenly King were shocked when they heard this order. Their Heavenly King and the Northern Heavenly King were both grief and indignation. But they did not say anything. They could. The Northern Heavenly King said. The Heavenly King. The Heavenly King. And the Yu King. Did the Chaz King? Nilu King Lu? Is Yang Xia Shurjans? Lu is it? Biez? Yi. The Heavenly King to be the Northern Heavenly King laughed out loud. Ha ha ha, never underestimate the ancient sacred sects. Sects can be destroyed, but their legacies are eternal. The enemy is here. Leave now. Let me burn my blood for the Northern Heavenly King one last time. Boom. Blood chi soared into the sky, shocking the entire imperial capital. Soon after, another blood-like rainbow crossed the entire imperial capital like a boiling river, causing countless martial artists in the imperial capital to be shocked. What's going on? Why is the king burning his blood essence all of a sudden? Who are those people in the sky? Heavens, how can there be so many martial kings? It's like an army of martial kings. The cultivators of the imperial capital all looked at the sky in shock. At the same time, the sharp-eyed people recognized two familiar figures in the army of martial kings. Bai Tianyun, Bai Tiancheng. When did they become 10th-level martial kings? They even joined these people to invade our imperial capital. Many warriors in the imperial capital were furious when they saw the Bai brothers in the blood-colored martial king army. In the palace, the northern heavenly king's expression was complicated. His entire body was burning with blood-colored flames as he stepped into the sky. Blood Demon Sect Leader, it was indeed you who colluded with the Bai family back then and plotted against me. The northern heavenly king looked angrily at an old figure in front of the large group of blood-robed martial kings. This figure was the Blood Demon Sect Leader. He let out a strange laugh and said, "Brother Zhu, we didn't collude with the Bai family. It was the Bai family who colluded with us. Back then, we didn't have any intention of killing you. We just saw that you were a talent and wanted to recruit you into our blood demon sect. It's a pity that back then, for the sake of the throne, you actually disdained my blood demon church. I had no choice but to deal a heavy blow. However, for you to be able to hold on until now and not die, you really have a tough life." The Blood Demon Church Master let out a sinister laugh. Then, he stopped talking and retreated behind a blood-robed youth. He pointed at the blood-robed youth and said, "I forgot to introduce him to you. This is my master and also the young master of our Blood Demon sect. Brother Zhu, if you know what's good for you, surrender now. I can still help you plead for mercy in front of the young master on account of our past friendship." "Shut up. The Blood Demon sect is inhumane. They're just a bunch of beasts and slaves. In this world, there are only kings who die in battle. There are no cowards who surrender." The Northern Heavenly King roared and interrupted the Blood Demon sect leader's words. Boom! His words infuriated the thousands of blood-robed martial kings in the sky. The blood-robed youth finally looked at the Northern Heavenly King with his cold eyes. "What did you just say? How dare you call our noble blood Shura a beast?" "Fine, because of what you said, I'll take you as the first titled battle pet warrior I kill, Wu Jun." "Kill!" The entire sky trembled. The blood-robed youth stretched out his hand and grabbed the air in front of him. A blood eagle suddenly appeared on his shoulder. It let out a deafening roar and clawed at the sky with its sharp claws. A hole appeared in the sky. The blood eagle clawed at the Northern Heavenly King. Even though he was a titled battle pet warrior, Wu Jun, he felt suffocated and fearful. As for the martial artists in the imperial capital, they all widened their eyes in fear as they watched the battle in the sky. Sword slashes the demons. A terrifying sword glow lit up the sky. It turned out that the Northern Heavenly King also used a sword. He even had a divine weapon in his hand. He burned his blood essence. His entire being was like a burning torch. He waved the sword in his hand, trying to kill the blood eagle. However, the blood eagle was too fast and too ferocious. As the blood-robed youth laughed coldly, the blood eagle's ferocious nature suddenly flared up. It let out a ferocious cry. Its huge claws were like heavenly hooks. They tore the sky apart and shattered the sword glow in front of it. In the end, the blood eagle's sharp claws collided with the Northern Heavenly King's divine weapon. The blood eagle exerted all its strength and twisted its claws. The Northern Heavenly King was horrified to see his divine weapon shatter. At the same time, he was grabbed by the blood eagle and thrown to the ground like a meteorite. Boom! The entire imperial palace was shaking. Then it was destroyed. Countless martial artists in the imperial palace were killed by this attack. The other martial artists in the imperial capital saw this scene and their hearts trembled. They couldn't believe that the powerful king who had protected the northern heavenly king for more than 100 years was defeated just like that. Boom! Suddenly, there was a loud explosion in the sky above the imperial palace. This explosion made the hearts of the martial artists in the imperial capital sink to the bottom. The monarch had resolutely chosen to self-detonate. This self-detonation finally blasted the blood eagle into pieces. The young man in the crimson robe frowned as he watched this scene. You would rather self-detonate than surrender. You have some backbone. Unfortunately, self-detonation won't work in front of my spiritual eagle. The blood-robed youth snapped his fingers at the blood eagle that had been blown into pieces. Chapter 669. Blood demon wreak havoc, hee. This body and the spiritual eagle are not bad. They can barely display the strength of the blood azura. Unfortunately, Yi Fei was abandoned by the heavens. Otherwise, I would have taken his body. With his war demon body, he would have been able to perfectly display the strength of the blood azura. The blood-red clothed youth did not care. Following the death of the Northern Ocean monarch, countless martial kings of the Northern Ocean country rushed into the sky in grief and indignation. Although he didn't care, the blood demon church master didn't dare to be careless. When he saw the martial artists rushing over, he immediately bowed and asked, "Young master, now that the Northern Ocean king is dead, how should we deal with these martial artists from the Northern Ocean kingdom? Do you even need to ask? Kill them if they don't surrender. We can use their corpses to create more blood bodhi and form my army of martial kings. Pass down my order, kill all warriors who dare to resist," the blood-red clothed youth said coldly. The thousands of blood-robed martial kings behind him, including the Bai brothers, all cheered with fanatical expressions. Long live the young master! Long live the blood demon sect! The blood demon sect will unify the northern region and last for thousands of years. Boom! 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 An army of thousands of martial kings was terrifying. When they charged down, the indignant martial kings in the imperial capital were immediately annihilated. Father! Outside the imperial capital, the fourth prince, Zhu Zhen, happened to return with a group of young martial kings from the Northern Ocean country. He happened to see the Northern Ocean monarch explode himself and the thousands of blood-robed martial kings wantonly slaughtering in the imperial capital. Zhu Zhen could not believe his eyes. Then, like a madman, he rushed to the imperial capital alone and charged at the blood-red clothed youth. Luo Shi, return my father's life. Luo Shi, this blood-red clothed youth, he is Luo Shi? How could he be Luo Shi? Qin Bing and the others were shocked. They had seen Luo Shi before. He was only a fifth-layer martial king and was Yi Fei's brother. How could he be entangled with the blood demon sect and have the strength to kill the Northern Ocean monarch? Could it be that Luo Shi has been acting all this time? Did he trick us and Yi Fei? Long Gang said angrily. Something's not right. He's not Luo Shi. His aura is completely different from Luo Shi's. And that spirit eagle doesn't seem to have a soul either. Bei Gong Chun suddenly noticed something. She shook her head and made her own judgment. Regardless of whether the blood-red clothed young man was Luo Shi or not, it was a fact that the Northern Ocean king had died in battle. This was also a heavy blow to the young martial kings of the Northern Ocean Kingdom, who had returned with a full load. The monarch is dead. The blood demon sect seems to want to unify the northern region. What should we do now? Fight or flee? The monarch had died in battle, and Zhu Zhen had fallen into great grief and had lost his mind. All the young martial kings were in a state of confusion. Then, the West Heaven King's angry scolding came from the sky. A bunch of idiots. The monarch is dead, but we are still here. What are you panicking for? Fourth Prince, my condolences. Our Beiyang kingdom still needs you. You mustn't be rash. The northern heavenly king immediately knocked out the crazy Zhu Zhen and nodded to his daughter, Beigong Chun. Beigong Chun, immediately take everyone and escape from the imperial capital with us. Escape from the northern ocean kingdom. The northern heavenly king took one last look at the imperial capital with tears in his eyes. He turned around and left without looking back. While the two heavenly kings were retreating with everyone, the bustling imperial capital had already turned into a bloody battlefield. The Northern Ocean King had used his death in battle to tell everyone that he was unyielding as a king. As a wise king of a generation, many warriors in the imperial capital were influenced and refused to surrender even in the face of death. They used their own flesh and blood to block the army of thousands of martial kings. They also bought some time for many juniors in the imperial capital to escape. West Heaven King, what happened in the imperial capital? Why did father die in battle? Zhu Zhen woke up halfway. He did not continue to go crazy. Instead, he questioned the West Heaven King in grief. The West Heaven King's eyes were filled with grief. He sighed and said, "It's the Blood Demon sect. After 100 years of dormancy, they finally couldn't help but take action. They want to unify the northern region and turn the entire northern region into a hell on earth where they can create monsters as they wish." The king was unable to resist them. Right now, no one in the northern region can stop the Blood Demon sect. The battle in the Northern Ocean Kingdom lasted for a full 10 days. After 10 days, the Northern Ocean Kingdom was completely occupied by the Blood Demon sect. All the warriors who did not surrender were either killed or fled the Northern Ocean Kingdom. Even the warriors who surrendered did not have a good ending. They were forcefully fed blood bodhi by the Blood Demon sect and transformed into blood-robed martial kings. Not only did they lose their lifetime's potential, but their nature was also distorted. They had completely become the Blood Demon sect's killing tools. After 100 years of dormancy and planning, the Blood Demon sect had stored a huge amount of blood bodhi. In addition, they had continuously killed the warriors of the Northern Ocean Kingdom and crazily cultivated them. In just a short month, the Blood Demon sect's army of thousands of martial kings had become an army of tens of thousands of martial kings. Countless evil demon cultivators had surrendered to them. After destroying the Northern Ocean Kingdom, the Blood Demon sect did not stop. Under the personal leadership of the Blood Demon sect's king, a total of 3 Wu Juns were preparing to attack the family Ye's sword mansion at the same time. However, the king of the Northern Ocean Kingdom had made sufficient arrangements before his death. Not only did he order the West Heaven King and the Northern Heavenly King to protect Zhu Zhen and escape, he also secretly informed the family Yi. After receiving the news, the Yi Jian immediately took action. He quickly evacuated the Northern Sea Pass with the family Yi. After meeting up with the disciples of the Holy Land led by the Sword Maniac Elder, they all retreated to the border of the Northern Wilderness Kingdom. Here, after hearing that the Northern Ocean Kingdom had been destroyed by the Blood Demon sect, the king of the Northern Wilderness Kingdom immediately gathered 90% of the kingdom's army. A total of 2 million soldiers were stationed in the city at the border of the two kingdoms. At the same time, the king of the Northern Wilderness Kingdom received news that the Blood Demon sect had used various methods to subdue half of the hidden titled warriors in the northern region, Wu Jun, during the past 100 years. This combined force was enough to make the king of the Northern Wilderness Kingdom fearful. Therefore, he could only bide his time and did not dare to take the initiative to attack the fallen Northern Ocean Kingdom. The king of the Northern Wilderness Kingdom did not relent. Although Zhu Zhen and the others were eager to take revenge, they had no choice but to continue staying in the city. At the same time, they could also inquire about Yi Fei's whereabouts. However, after 2 months, there was still no news of Yi Fei. Many people began to spread rumors that Yi Fei might have been killed by Wu Jun. However, Jing Wushou and the others did not believe this news because they had already heard that the king of Northern Plains had mysteriously died in the desert. This was also why they believed that Yi Fei was still alive. The only thing that troubled Jing Wushou was that he did not know how to explain to Yi Fei about Luo Shi when Yi Fei returned. Obviously, Luo Shi had already joined the Blood Demon sect and had become the young master with the highest status in the Blood Demon sect. Under his orders, not long after the Northern Ocean Kingdom was annexed, a large group of blood-robed martial kings killed their way into the chaotic Northern Plains Kingdom, which was without a king. At this time, Song Yu finally had his own stage, especially the young martial kings who had entered the Forsaken Land. After coming out, their combat strength had greatly increased. Under the command of Song Yu's reputation as the Crown Prince, they all gathered around Song Yu to resist the invasion of the Blood Demon sect. However, the Blood Demon sect's blood bodhi was too strange. When a blood-robed martial king died in battle, they dug out the blood bodhi and put it into another person's body. That person would immediately become a new blood-robed martial king. Chapter 670. Zhao Yu's departure. Resisting the Blood Demon sect was not something that a single country could bear. It was the responsibility of all the martial artists in the northern region. Therefore, even though the Northern Wilderness Heavenly King knew that his country was empty, he still accepted the remaining troops of the Beiyuan Kingdom led by Song Yu and guarded the border between the Northern Wilderness Heavenly Kingdom and Beiyuan Kingdom, forming the second line of defense against the Blood Demon sect. When Zhu Zhen, who was far away at the border, received the news, he was so angry that he couldn't eat for several days. He complained to the Western Heavenly King and the Northern Heavenly King, "Uncle Wang, it seems that we can't stay in the Northern Wilderness Heavenly King any longer. The Northern Wilderness Heavenly King has been biding his time and doesn't allow us to go to the Northern Wilderness Imperial Capital. He has no intention of helping us restore our country. He just wants to use us to help him wear down the power of the Blood Demon sect." Zhu Zhen had obviously grown a lot after the death of the Northern Wilderness Heavenly King. With the support of the Western Heavenly King and the Northern Heavenly King, the remaining troops of the Northern Wilderness Heavenly King all gathered under Zhu Zhen's banner. Even people like Jing Wushou from the Taixuan Sacred Ground had entered Zhu Zhen's army and taken up important positions. However, Zhu Zhen knew that no matter how many people they had, it would be difficult to resist the Blood Demon sect's huge army of martial kings and Wu Jun's surprise attack with just the injured sword maniac Divine Lord. If only Yi Fei could come back now. With his combat strength, even if he can't defeat the young master of the Blood Demon sect, he would definitely be able to help us stabilize the situation. The Western Heavenly King sighed. Even the Northern Heavenly King and Zhu Zhen fell into silence. It had been 2 months since the end of the Battle of Inheritance. After so long, there was still no news from Yi Fei. Among the remaining troops of the Northern Wilderness Heavenly King, the news of Yi Fei's death kept increasing. If it weren't for the sword maniac Divine Lord, who was a titled Wu Jun, and the strict management of the 2 Heavenly Kings, this huge army would have collapsed long ago. While Zhu Zhen and the others were anxiously waiting for Yi Fei's return, the Northern Wilderness Kingdom suddenly discovered something that shocked the entire northern region. Song Yu, who had retreated into the Northern Wilderness with the remnants of his army, did not follow the Northern Wilderness Heavenly Monarch's plan and help him defend the other border. Not long after Song Yu retreated, he ordered the entire army to surrender to the Blood Demon sect. He even opened the border and cooperated with the Blood Demon sect to mercilessly slaughter the Northern Wilderness soldiers at the border. Lin Tianjiao, who was also guarding the border, was almost killed by Song Yu's sneak attack. Lin Tianjiao was lucky to have escaped with a treasure he obtained from the Saint Palace. However, with Lin Tianjiao's defeat and Song Yu's betrayal, the Northern Wilderness Heavenly Monarch soon fell into a state of disintegration. The Northern Wilderness Heavenly Monarch, who had a good plan, could not wait for the sword maniac Divine Lord to bring his army to rescue him. Under the fierce siege of the 10 titled warriors of the Blood Demon sect, Wu Jun, the Northern Wilderness Heavenly Monarch, tragically died in battle. If it were not for the fact that the Northern Wilderness Heavenly Monarch, who was the only one who was not affected, forced his way in with his army at the critical moment, the entire Northern Wilderness Heavenly Monarch, including Lin Tianjiao, would have been annihilated. However, even though the battle in the northern region was so fierce, with thousands of warriors dying in battle with the Blood Demon sect's army every day, there was still no news of Yi Fei. Gradually, not only did the remnants of the Northern Wilderness Heavenly Monarch's army spread the news of Yi Fei's death, but many people in the entire northern region believed that Yi Fei might have died under the pursuit of many Wu Juns. The only people who still had hope for Yi Fei were the sword maniac Divine Lord, Jing Wushou, Zhu Zhen, Qin Bing, and a few others. However, although they still had hope for Yi Fei, no one dared to continue waiting for Yi Fei. With Song Yu's betrayal, the Blood Demon sect took over 2 large countries in the northern region in one breath. Countless families and sects were forced by the power of the Blood Demon sect, and were either destroyed or simply surrendered to the Blood Demon sect. Zhu Zhen and the others had no choice but to retreat to the Northern Wilderness Heavenly Monarch's territory with their remnants under his suggestion. The 3 large countries formed an alliance temporarily to barely stabilize the situation. However, everyone knew that this situation was only temporary. Once the Blood Demon sect consolidated their territory and concentrated on attacking the Northern Wilderness Heavenly Monarch, the entire northern region would basically fall into the hands of the Blood Demon sect if no one could resist the attack of the Blood Demon Young Master. Of course, Yi Fei wasn't aware of this news at all. Ever since he was sealed in the Ice Mountain by Zhao Yu, Yi Fei repeated the same thing every day. That was, Zhao Yu held the intellectual sword and constantly stabbed him here and there. However, what shocked Zhao Yu was that the intellectual sword in her hand was clearly real, but no matter what she did, she couldn't hurt Yi Fei. Naturally, she couldn't sever the connection between her and Yi Fei. On this day, Zhao Yu's body was half in flames and half in ice. She pushed the intellectual sword to its limits and ruthlessly stabbed at Yi Fei's body. You can do it. We'll definitely succeed this time." After trying for 2 months without being able to kill Yi Fei, the Empress Dowager was so anxious that wrinkles appeared on her face. This time, when she saw Zhao Yu attack with all her might, the Empress Dowager was so happy that she wanted to clap her hands. This evil creature who harmed her Yu'er was finally going to be dealt with. The Empress Dowager was filled with joy. However, her joy only lasted for a second. Her expression was as ugly as it could be. Zhao Yu also looked at the intellectual sword in her hand in astonishment. She still didn't manage to stab it in? What exactly went wrong? Not to mention the Empress Dowager going crazy when she saw this scene, even Zhao Yu's heart, which was as calm as an ancient well, suddenly felt like going crazy. This scourge, why won't he die? Why won't he let my Yu'er off? The Empress Dowager already had a pained expression on her face. She looked at Yi Fei as if she was looking at a huge pest. She suddenly suggested coldly, "Yu'er, why don't you stop working and just kill this kid?" "No, I promised her that I wouldn't hurt Yi Fei. I just need to cut off my connection with him." Zhao Yu was very stubborn. The intellectual sword kept slashing Yi Fei's body. In the beginning, Yi Fei was still a little afraid. However, after being continuously stabbed by Zhao Yu for so long without success, Yi Fei was already starting to feel a little numb. Clearly, with the undying sword's soul secretly intimidating him, the intellectual sword in Zhao Yu's hand was unable to hurt him. From the looks of it, Zhao Yu also didn't seem like she would kill him. In his boredom, Yi Fei couldn't help but try to persuade her. "Zhao Yu, I think you should stop working. I already said that our love is stronger than gold. I'm afraid this intellectual sword won't be able to cut off your love for me." Bang! Before he could finish speaking, Yi Fei already felt his body being kicked 7 or 8 meters away by Zhao Yu. Only then did he realize that he had accidentally said something wrong and made Zhao Yu anxious. However, although she was kicked, Zhao Yu's heart was still affected to a certain extent. Her face was slightly red as she fell into deep thought. Could it be that my feelings for him in the past were really so deep that even the intellectual sword didn't work on him? Seeing Zhao Yu's face alternating between red and white, the Empress Dowager's heart thumped. She suddenly felt a sense of worry. The supreme indifference required one to forget their feelings. From then on, they would become one with the heavens and set foot on the heavenly Tao. If Zhao Yu and Yi Fei spent too much time together and suddenly developed feelings for each other, that would be terrible. Not only would Zhao Yu not be able to become the Empress, but she might even be in danger of going berserk. No, I can't let them be together. Even if I have to keep this scourge, I can't let anything happen to you, Emperor's path. Speaking of which, although the Empress Dowager was ruthless, she was still very concerned about Zhao Yu. With this worry, the Empress Dowager immediately walked over and held Zhao Yu's hand. Let's stop working. It won't be long before the chaotic ocean rises. If we don't leave now, it will only be more difficult for us to go to the middle state. Chapter 671. Tomb Keeper Zhao Yu put away the intellectual sword and did not look at Yi Fei. The sealed iceberg had disappeared. She turned around and was about to leave when the Empress Dowager suddenly thought of something. She called out to Zhao Yu, "Hold on, this brat has obtained the sage sex inheritance. It might be in his space ring. We can't let it go." The Empress Dowager looked at Yi Fei coldly and suddenly walked over. Yi Fei knew what the Empress Dowager was going to do. He pretended to panic and said, "Old witch, what are you doing?" Of course I'm going to take away your good fortune. I'm going to make sure you never have the chance to catch up with you, I'm going to take away your sage sex inheritance." After saying that, she unceremoniously looted Yi Fei's space ring. Of course, if the Empress Dowager knew that there were no treasures in Yi Fei's space ring and that the most important treasures were in Xiao Chao's space ring, she would probably die from anger on the spot. On the surface, Yi Fei still looked angry. He scolded the Empress Dowager loudly, "Old witch, you'll die a horrible death. When I become a martial sage, you'll be the first person I'll deal with." "Haha, go ahead and scold me. When you become a martial sage, you will be a martial emperor. When that time comes, it'll be your death." After taking Yi Fei's spatial ring, the Empress Dowager was in a very good mood. Suddenly, she noticed the phoenix blood sword that was still circling around Yi Fei. The Empress Dowager wanted to take it away as well to give Yi Fei a heartache. Imperial great-grandmother, that's enough. Zhao Yu suddenly could not stand it anymore, especially when she saw the phoenix blood sword. She suddenly felt a stabbing pain in her heart. However, Zhao Yu quickly forced herself to forget this feeling. Her eyes became colder than ever before. She suddenly threw a map at Yi Fei. "Yi Fei, I won't kill you for her sake. However, this is the end of our relationship. From today onwards I, Zhao Yu, only have the Emperor's road in my eyes. I have no more worries. Imperial great-grandmother, let's go." Zhao Yu didn't give the Empress Dowager a chance to loot the phoenix blood sword. With a wave of his hand, he brought the Empress Dowager into a mysterious territory entrance and disappeared. I didn't think that she would become so powerful in just 3 years. Martial artists with Emperor's looks are indeed born extraordinary. It won't be easy to catch up to her. Yi Fei sighed. He knew that Zhao Yu had completely left this time. For a martial artist of DZ, the northern domain was still too small. Only the central plains was her stage. However, if you didn't have anything to worry about, why did you throw me a map behind the Empress Dowager's back? Zhao Yu, I knew that the old you didn't disappear. No matter where you are, no matter what you become in the future, I will find you and find the old you. Yi Fei looked at the map on the ground, his eyes flashing with determination. Without Zhao Yu's suppression, Yi Fei easily shattered the ice chains on his body with his strength. Then, Yi Fei subconsciously wanted to take out a clean set of clothes to change out of the rags on his body. Then he remembered that the Empress Dowager had already looted his interspatial ring. Yi Fei smiled bitterly. He looked at the beggar's clothes that had been riddled with holes by Zhao Yu in the past 2 months. As a dignified Northern Domain Holy King, he couldn't possibly go out and meet people like this. Fortunately, this place isn't far from Shang City. Why don't I loot Shang City again? At the same time, I can also gather information about the Northern Domain. Yi Fei put away the Phoenix Blood Sword and picked up the map that Zhao Yu had thrown out. He didn't even have time to look at it carefully. Boom! Using the void steps, Yi Fei arrived at Shang City with ease. He was prepared to catch up with Shang City and loot it. However, Shang City was covered in sand. It seemed that the bandits hadn't come for a long time. Yi Fei's face darkened. Damn, these bandits actually ran away. It turned out that when he found out that Yi Fei had obtained the Glory Sect's inheritance and had become the invincible Northern Domain Holy King, Shang felt that if he stayed in Shang City, he might be punished by Yi Fei in the future. Coincidentally, the Blood Demon sect was attacking the Northern Domain and was also recruiting demons. They said that they wanted to turn the Northern Domain into a demon's domain. On one hand, he was afraid. On the other hand, he was tempted. Shang quickly decided to lead all the bandits out of the desert to help the Blood Demon sect. He wanted to use this opportunity to gain the protection of the Blood Demon sect. However, this group of bandits ran very quickly. Yi Fei felt that he was really unlucky as a person abandoned by the heavens. In this vast desert, it was so difficult to find a single bandit to rob. Forget it. Since I can't find them, let's take a look at the map Zhao Yu gave me. Yi Fei opened the map again. After looking at it for a full hour, he raised his head in shock. This is a map of the desert. It even shows the location of the tomb of the Wanqing Grand Emperor. Zhao Yu gave me the tomb of the Grand Emperor. Could it be that Zhao Yu had been cultivating in the tomb of the Great Emperor during the 3 years that he had disappeared? No wonder his cultivation was so fast, and even the Empress Dowager had broken through to the 10th level of the Martial King realm. I must go to such a treasure trove. Since Zhao Yu gave this map to me, there might be treasures there that can make up for the loss of his spatial ring. That's right, it was a loss. When Zhao Yu saw that Yi Fei's space ring had been looted, he felt a little apologetic, which was why he had given the map to Yi Fei. However, Zhao Yu soon regretted giving the map to Yi Fei. This was because Yi Fei's spatial ring had already been emptied by Xiao Chao. Even if it had been stolen, it wouldn't have been much of a loss. On the other hand, the tomb of the Grand Emperor that Zhao Yu had given him was a real benefit. Not long after the Empress Dowager left with Zhao Yu, she curiously opened Yi Fei's spatial ring to take a look. She was so angry that she spat out a mouthful of blood. It was empty. 3 days passed quickly. According to the map, Yi Fei finally found the entrance to the tomb of the Great Emperor. What surprised him was that the tomb of the Great Emperor was very simple. It was just a simple sand cave. An old man with a face full of wind and sand stood at the entrance of the cave. When Yi Fei saw the old man, he was shocked. "Old man, why are you here?" This old man was none other than the stone-cracking old man from Quicksand City. Yi Fei originally thought that he had implicated the old man and caused him to run away. Who knew that the old man would appear in front of the tomb of the Grand Emperor? Haha, why can't it be me? Young Master Yi, how did you find the tomb of the Grand Emperor? Who guided you here? The old man was even more surprised when he saw Yi Fei. There was even a hint of wariness in his voice. Not wanting to cause any misunderstandings, Yi Fei quickly took out the map and said, "Zhao Yu gave me the map and told me to come here." "What? Princess Zhao Yu? That little girl who also cultivates the unruffled path like the Grand Emperor? I didn't expect her to not only decipher the Grand Emperor's mystic realm in just 3 years, but she also found the location of the tomb of the Grand Emperor. She even gave it to you in the end. She is indeed a martialist with the bearing of a Grand Emperor. This little girl might become another Grand Emperor in the future. The old man sighed. When he saw the map in Yi Fei's hand, he took it almost piously and knelt down in front of the tomb. Then, he stood up and said, "Child, since you have the map, I can bring you into the tomb of the Grand Emperor." "Old man, what is your identity?" Yi Fei couldn't help but ask curiously. "Haha, my identity? As you can see, I am a spirit eye master who has lost his spirit eye. I am also the guardian of the Grand Emperor's tomb for generations." The old man smiled kindly, but there was a trace of bitterness in his smile. After learning of the old man's identity, Yi Fei was secretly surprised. This old man didn't seem to have much strength, but he was actually the guardian of the Grand Emperor's tomb. Since he was a guardian, why would he appear in Quicksand City to help others cut open stones? Also, was it a coincidence that he had cut open the Grand Emperor's ring? Or was it deliberately sent to him by this old man? Yi Fei couldn't help but be deeply puzzled. The old man also saw Yi Fei's puzzlement. He smiled and bitterly said, "Young Master Yi, I know you have many doubts. I will explain them to you one by one when you come out of the tomb of the Grand Emperor. But for now you should hurry up and go in." The old man's voice was a little hurried, as if he was looking forward to it. Chapter 672. 10 Emperors locking the coffin. Looking at the old man's strange expression, Yi Fei felt that something was amiss. However, the old man was only a rank 10 martial honorable. He wasn't even a martial king. Yi Fei also felt that the old man didn't seem to have any ill intentions towards him. Forget it, who cares about that? It wasn't easy to come across the tomb of great Emperor Wang Qing. How can I not go in and take a look? Yi Fei lifted his foot and walked into the entrance of the sand cave. As the only martial emperor in the North region, Yi Fei was similar to the other martial emperors in the North region. He admired and was curious. Furthermore, Zhao Yu cultivated the same cultivation technique as great Emperor Wang Qing. It's just that the flaw in the way of the Great Oblivion is too obvious. To become a martial emperor, one must completely forget about emotions. What should I do to free Zhao Yu from the way of the Great Oblivion? Yi Fei thought about Zhao Yu's matter as he walked. He walked very carefully, step by step. He was constantly paying attention to the changes in the environment in the sand cave. However, Yi Fei was a little oversensitive this time. There were no traps or dangers in the sand cave. Looks like I'm being paranoid. However, I feel that the old man's expression is a little strange. Yi Fei did not let down his guard. He continued to walk deeper into the sand cave. The sand cave was very long. The deeper he went, the steeper the ground became. Yi Fei realized that the sand cave continued to extend underground. After walking for about 2 hours, Yi Fei estimated that he had already walked 1,000 meters underground. Suddenly, there was a flash of light in front of him. A huge underground space appeared in front of Yi Fei. The space was very big. It looked like a huge city that had been destroyed and buried in the desert. North Region Heavenly Country. Yi Fei saw a few ancient words at the heavily deserted city gate. He was very shocked. Could this be the capital of the North Region's strongest heavenly country 10,000 years ago? The tomb of the Wangqing Great Emperor was actually buried in the ruins of the Kingdom of Heaven. Yi Fei also saw a large amount of stone materials in the ruins, but he didn't have time to observe them. The ruins of the imperial capital had deeply attracted him. After walking into the imperial capital, Yi Fei could still feel the horror of that battle even though it had been 10,000 years. There were traces of swords and sabers everywhere. The ground was shattered, revealing countless skeletons. Some of the skeletons belonged to King Wu, some belonged to Wu Jun, and some belonged to the absolute ground great being and the heavenly grandmaster grand sage. However, what truly shocked Yi Fei was not these skeletons, but an empty space in the middle of the imperial capital. Outside this empty space, there were 10 withered figures sitting cross-legged. They wore imperial robes and had their eyes closed. Their bodies were so withered that only their skin and bones were left. There was no sign of life. However, these 10 people still shocked Yi Fei. This was because Yi Fei felt an aura as strong as that of the demon emperor from them. Martial emperors. These 10 people are all true martial emperors. I didn't expect that so many martial emperors could be born in the northern region 10,000 years ago. Who killed them? Who made them surround the 2 stone coffins in such a posture? Yi Fei was deeply shocked by the scene in front of him. He looked at the 10 martial emperors who had been dead for an unknown number of years, and then looked at the 2 simple stone coffins in the middle of the 10 martial emperors. These 2 stone coffins were placed against a wall. 10 iron chains were wrapped around the coffins, and they were wrapped around the corpses of the 10 martial emperors. The scene was extremely strange, so strange that Yi Fei suddenly came up with a bold idea. Maybe these 10 martial emperors were not killed, but committed suicide. They were using their lives to protect the 2 stone coffins, but isn't this the tomb of great Emperor Wang Qing? Why are there 2 stone coffins in the tomb of a great emperor? If one stone coffin belongs to great Emperor Wang Qing, then who does the other stone coffin belong to? Looking at the 2 stone coffins, Yi Fei was even more confused. He tried to walk into the 2 stone coffins. However, looking at the 10 corpses of the martial emperors surrounding the stone coffins, Yi Fei was a little confused. The tomb of a great emperor is so strange. Can I really go in like this? Yi Fei looked hesitant. He raised his foot and stayed where he was. Yi Fei planned to step back and observe for a while. Just as he was about to step back, roar. Suddenly, a loud roar came from the depths of his mind. The sound was extremely terrifying. Just the sound alone made Yi Fei feel like his soul was being torn apart. What was even more terrifying was that the sound came from the 2 stone coffins. Yi Fei almost thought that the stone coffins had come back to life. He widened his eyes and took a closer look. Only then did he realize that the stone coffins hadn't come back to life. Instead, a simple stone door had appeared behind the wall where the 2 stone coffins stood without Yi Fei noticing at all. There were runes on the stone door, and there was a ferocious monster image in the middle. It was the monster that had suddenly opened its mouth and let out a formless roar at Yi Fei. It was also this roar that allowed Yi Fei to see the stone door behind the stone coffins. Faintly, a strange, enticing sound resounded in Yi Fei's mind. "Let me out. I will bestow upon thee supreme glory. Let him out, let him out." Yi Fei didn't know what was going on. When he heard this voice, Yi Fei had a violent impulse in his heart. He wanted to destroy the stone door at all costs and release the thing inside. But a hand reached out from behind Yi Fei and patted him hard on the shoulder. "Young Master Yi, you can't go any further. If you go any further, the old and decrepit won't be able to save you." He turned around in shock and realized that the person who patted him was the old man guarding the tomb. Yi Fei couldn't help but reveal a hint of fear in his eyes. When he looked at the stone door again, something shocking happened. Not only did the stone door disappear, even the 10 martial emperors' corpses and the 2 stone coffins had all disappeared. Everything that had happened just now was like a dream. However, this dream was so real that Yi Fei remembered every detail clearly. That wasn't an illusion at all. It really happened. "Old man, what's going on? Isn't this the tomb of the great emperor? Why are there 2 stone coffins here? Also, that voice just now, what's with the stone door?" Yi Fei asked in shock. The old man was also very surprised. "What? Not only did you see the stone door, but you also heard the voice behind it." "Oh no, it seems that I've lost my spiritual eye and can't repair the seal on the stone door." The monster behind the stone door has already sensed it. What kind of monster is behind the stone door? Yi Fei asked curiously. Young Master Yi, you're making things difficult for me. I'm just a spiritual eye master and the most useless one. How would I know so much? I only heard from my ancestors that the destruction of the Northern Divine Kingdom was related to this stone door. The formation of the poisonous fiery desert was also related to this stone door. Chapter 673. Bathing in Dragon Energy. What? The entire northern region is going to be destroyed? The consequences of opening the stone door are so serious. Yi Fei broke out in a cold sweat. Was Zhao Yu trying to help him or harm him? He actually sent him to such a dangerous place. Of course, Yi Fei didn't know that he had completely misunderstood Zhao Yu. In fact, Zhao Yu only got the map, but he didn't know what was in the tomb. Generally speaking, if anyone got a clue about the tomb, they would subconsciously think that there might be treasures in it, thus ignoring the dangers of the tomb. Yi Fei clearly made the same mistake. He quickly retreated a few steps with lingering fear. When the old man retreated to a safe distance, Yi Fei looked at the old man unhappily and said, "Old man, since you knew that this place was so dangerous, why didn't you warn me when I came in?" "Young Master Yi, please forgive me. The old and decrepit didn't tell you in advance because he wanted to test you. After all, you were able to open the heaven and earth spiritual eye last time. The old and decrepit thought that you were also a spiritual eye master and finally found a helper." The old man sighed and apologized to Yi Fei again and again. This way, even if Yi Fei was tricked by the old man didn't have any bad intentions. He could only suppress his anger and not flare up. After the old man's explanation, Yi Fei finally understood that the old man had misjudged Yi Fei's identity. He thought that Yi Fei had the heaven and earth spiritual eye and might be a very powerful spiritual eye master. That was why he sent Yi Fei down to see if he could see through the stone door. In the end, Yi Fei was a fake. Not only was he unable to see through the stone door, but he was also almost confused by the monster behind the stone door and made a huge mistake. Only then did the old man realize that he had made a mistake and quickly woke Yi Fei up. Yi Fei was extremely depressed. He couldn't help but criticize the old man. "I say, old man, this is your fault. You spiritual eye masters have been ordered to guard the stone door for generations. You should be cautious and conscientious. You should be guarding this place at all times. Why are you still running around and opening stones for others?" This old man clearly left his post without permission. What if that thing came out from behind the stone door when he wasn't around? Who knew what kind of disaster it would cause? Even if they did not know what was inside, if it was a monster that even martial emperors could not deal with, the consequences would be dire if it rushed out of the stone door. In response to Yi Fei's accusation, a pained expression suddenly flashed across the old man's face. He sighed and said, "Young Master Yi is right. This is all my fault. Back then, I shouldn't have peeked into the stone door out of curiosity. In the end, I made a grave mistake. Not only did my wife and children die because of me, even my spiritual eye was dug out by that monster. I lost the ability to continue sealing it." The old man pushed aside his hair with a pained expression, revealing a deep bloody hole in his forehead. Inside the hole, one could even see the old man's blood vessels pulsing. Yi Fei was very surprised. "Old man, isn't the thing inside sealed? It actually dug out your spiritual eye. This is bad. Without your spiritual eye, you won't be able to continue sealing the monster inside. Isn't it very likely that it will break the seal and escape?" "Young Master Yi, don't worry. Not only is this stone door sealed by the great emperor, but it is also sealed by us spiritual eye masters for generations. It won't be able to break the seal in a short period of time. However, without the support of my spiritual eye, the power of the seal will continue to decline." The old man revealed a pained expression. He sighed and continued, It's a pity that I've lost my spiritual eye. I can no longer continue strengthening the seal. The only thing I can do is to head to the nearest quicksand city and find a suitable successor to become a spiritual eye master. I hope to cultivate a new spiritual eye master and continue this mission. Yi Fei finally understood why the old man had left the tomb of the great emperor. He hadn't left his post without permission. He had wanted to make up for his mistakes. Then have you found it? Yi Fei asked curiously. The old man didn't say anything. He just stared straight at Yi Fei. Yi Fei suddenly felt like cursing. This old man is so shameless. You made a mistake and you want me to help you settle it. Yi Fei was not stupid. Although the stone door threatened the entire northern region and he could not stay out of it, Yi Fei was determined not to be like the old man and be a tomb keeper for the rest of his life and not be able to go anywhere. Therefore, Yi Fei simply pretended not to hear the old man's words. Sigh. The old man sighed again. It seems like young Master Yi has no interest in being a spiritual eye master. But thinking about it, if it weren't for the blood oath made by our ancestors, our descendants would have to be tomb keepers for generations to come. Even I wouldn't be willing to die of old age in these ruins. Seeing how the old man spoke with emotion, Yi Fei silently sympathized with the old man. No matter what, it was the old man and the other spiritual eye masters who had silently guarded the northern region. They were undoubtedly great and had made great sacrifices. Old man, what do you plan to do? We can't just leave this stone door alone. Yi Fei was a little worried. Even now, he couldn't forget that evil and terrifying voice in his mind. The old man said seriously, "Of course we can't leave it alone. Once the stone door is opened, the world will be destroyed. Young Master Yi, I have another presumptuous request." "Old man, tell me what it is first." Yi Fei was now very alert. If the old man insisted on keeping him as a tomb keeper, he wouldn't do something that would obviously put him at a disadvantage. Cough, cough. Young Master Yi is indeed a sentimental person. Young Master, don't worry. Since you have no interest in being a spiritual eye master, the old and decrepit will not force you. The old and decrepit just wants to ask you, if possible, to help me find my lost spiritual eye. As long as the spiritual eye is found, I can reseal the monster inside. The old man looked at Yi Fei expectantly. Yi Fei was very surprised when he heard this. "Old man, where is your lost spiritual eye? Why don't you look for it yourself?" "It's not that the old and decrepit doesn't want to, it's that I can't. Every generation of tomb keepers is cursed by the great emperor. If we stray too far from the tomb, we will die. That monster should also know this. Back then, when he tempted me to dig out my spiritual eye, he deliberately threw it in a place where I couldn't find it." The old man's expression was full of pain. Without waiting for Yi Fei to ask any more questions, he took out a jade talisman and forced it into Yi Fei's hands. "Young Master Yi, as long as you take this jade talisman, you will be able to find my spiritual eye. Of course, the old and decrepit won't let young Master Yi help for free. I can make an exception and let you bathe in dragon qi once." "What? The tomb of the great emperor has dragon qi?" Yi Fei was very surprised. Of course. Back then, in order to suppress this stone door, great Emperor Wang Qing gathered 99% of the dragon veins in the northern region here. Otherwise, do you think that just us spiritual eye masters can suppress the monster behind the stone door? How about it, young Master Yi? As long as you agree to help me, you can bathe in dragon qi. I forgot to tell you that the dragon qi in the tomb of the great emperor is comparable to an emperor-level spirit spring," the old man casually added at the end. It was this sentence that made Yi Fei's heart skip a beat. Even though he knew that the old man was tempting him, when he thought about the terrifying amount of spirit qi needed to cultivate the combat god Dao, Yi Fei couldn't refuse. After all, he was also from the northern region. He couldn't just watch the monster behind the stone door come out and destroy the entire northern region. Senior, don't worry. If I can help protect the world, I, Yi Fei, will do my best to help, Yi Fei said seriously. Chapter 674. Initial battle physique. The old man was helpless. Other than Yi Fei, he couldn't find anyone else to help him. After all, the tomb itself was a secret. Other than those who could find the tomb, the old man couldn't reveal this to anyone else. This was also the restriction of the great emperor's curse. I hope this young master Yi is reliable. Sigh. The old man sighed and brought Yi Fei to the place where the dragon aura was hidden. When Yi Fei arrived, he suddenly felt a pressure as vast as the starry sky shrouding him. And in this starry sky formed by dragon chi, not only did Yi Fei see endless dragon chi like the Milky Way in the 9 heavens, but he also saw spirit chi dragons formed in the dragon chi. They were roaring and playing, vivid and lifelike. If it weren't for the fact that they only existed for a short period of time and would be sucked away by an unknown force and destroyed into pure dragon aura, Yi Fei would have suspected that countless spiritual dragons would be born in a few hundred years. Young Master Yi, this is the spiritual aura. You can go in and cultivate for a day. After a day, the great emperor's formation will automatically send you out. The old and decrepit will take his leave first. After the old man finished speaking, he turned into sand and disappeared from the tomb. Outside the sand cave, another elder sandstorm appeared. He was like an ancient statue, guarding the tomb of the great emperor and the entire northern region. However, no one knew how much the old men had sacrificed. They were like the sand under their feet, unremarkable. They couldn't see the future and didn't know where they would end up. I really don't know when our clan will end. The old man had a complicated expression. It was as if he could see the entire north region bleeding. I thought the old man was just saying. I didn't expect the dragon aura here to be so exaggerated. It seems like I owe the old man a favor. When I go back, I'll find some time to get the old man's spiritual eye back. Yi Fei didn't like to owe favors. Once he did, he would find a way to repay it. In Yi Fei's opinion, the best way to help the old man was to help him find the spiritual eye he had lost. He could be considered to have done his part for the northern region. Xiao Chao, come out and cultivate. Yi Fei subconsciously called out to Xiao Chao when he saw the vast amount of spiritual energy. In the end, Xiao Chao didn't respond. In the beast mark space, Xiao Chao was still sleeping soundly. His body was still covered with the small blanket made of elixirs, and he would kick it from time to time. Come to think of it, not only did those spiritual herbs not die after being tossed around by the Xiao Chao, but their medicinal effects seemed to be getting stronger and stronger. It really was a strange Xiao Chao. The Tao of the war god is the Tao of Azura. There are gods, devils, shamans, and monsters in this world, but there is no Azura. Azura is not a race, but a realm, a title. To fight gods and kill demons, one becomes an Azura. To slay shamans and demons, one becomes an Azura. Sitting cross-legged in the boundless dragon chi, Yi Fei's mind was rapidly filled with various mysteries of the Tao of Azura. He constantly comprehended and cultivated. The boundless dragon chi made Yi Fei not have to worry about not having enough resources for cultivation. Very quickly, he comprehended many mysteries of the Tao of Azura. Gradually, a strange power began to form in his body. This power instantly shattered the inner yuan of the Devil Emperor Sutra in his body, forming a new power. He didn't know if it was an illusion, but when the power of Azura entered his dantian and gradually transformed the inner yuan in his body, the undying sword soul seemed to be a little agitated. However, before Yi Fei could sense this emotion, he was shocked to discover that the inner yuan of the Devil Emperor Sutra had been pushed out of his dantian and meridians by the power of Azura. However, it stubbornly attached itself to Yi Fei's flesh and every cell. It continued to exist and continuously strengthened Yi Fei's physical body. As expected of the Devil Emperor Sutra, Even the battle god Tao is unable to completely dissolve its influence. Was this cultivation method really created by the Devil Emperor himself? Yi Fei suddenly became suspicious. He suspected that the Devil Emperor's cheap master might have been bragging to him. After all, the battle god Tao was a cultivation method passed down by the martial god. Its level was countless times higher than the Devil Emperor's sutra. Even so, the power of Asura was still unable to completely repel the Devil Emperor's sutra. This was a little strange. Could it be that the Devil Emperor's sutra also contained the martial god's Tao? Yi Fei thought of a possibility. The Devil Emperor might have used the martial god's cultivation method as a reference when he created the Devil Emperor's sutra. After all, if he cultivated to the 5th layer of the Devil Emperor's sutra, he would be able to obtain a special constitution like the indestructible war demon body. The war demon body and the power of Asura. I wonder if I'll be able to obtain 2 powerful constitutions if I cultivate these 2 cultivation methods at the same time. Yi Fei was startled by his own thoughts. Then, his eyes involuntarily flashed with a dense light as he began to cultivate madly. Yi? Xiao Qiao, who was in a deep sleep, seemed to have smelled a very delicious aroma in her dreams. Thus, Xiao Qiao didn't hold back. Even though she was sleeping, she opened her mouth and took a deep breath. A few unconscious air dragons were attracted and actually turned into streams of light that continuously flowed into the beast mark space. Yi Fei clicked his tongue in wonder at the fact that he could cultivate while sleeping. However, Xiao Qiao's hard work still greatly stimulated Yi Fei. Therefore, Yi Fei cultivated even more madly. Boom! A day passed very quickly. Yi Fei, who was immersed in cultivation, suddenly felt a huge resistance force that forcefully pushed him out of the dragon aura space. Even so, Yi Fei was still smiling like a blooming flower. The dragon aura is indeed powerful. After bathing for a day, not only did I successfully cultivate the 1st level of the war god path, but I also successfully formed the Asura battle body and completely converted all the true Yuan in my body into the power of Asura. Yi Fei was excited. Then, he looked at his golden body. Not only was the power of Asura simple, his Devil Emperor scripture also had a breakthrough in cultivation, reaching the 5th level of the Devil Emperor scripture. However, Yi Fei did not break through to the level of the titled Wu Jun because of this. His cultivation level was still at the 10th level of the Martial King realm, the level of the Invincible Sage King. However, Yi Fei's battle strength, with the addition of the War Demon immortal body and the power of Asura, directly broke through the 1 million mark. This also made Yi Fei's battle strength officially equal to Zhao Yu's. If he were to encounter Wu Jun, who was at the level of the King of Northern Plains, Yi Fei would be able to destroy him with one punch. Of course, while Yi Fei was improving, the other Sky Prides who had gained something from the 6 sacred sects were also improving rapidly. Especially now in the northern region, where a storm was brewing and killing was everywhere. As the Blood Demon sect continued to expand, all the evil martial artists and murderous demons in the northern region gathered under the banner of the Blood Demon sect. They continued to expand and kill wantonly. In just 3 months, the Northern Sea, the Northern Ocean, the Northern Wilderness, the Northern Plains, 3 of the 4 great nations in the northern region had completely fallen. The skyscraper ridge where the Liu family was located was also destroyed, and the Lianyan castle where the Chun family was located was razed to the ground. The Chun family's patriarch could only risk his life and bring Chen Mengyao to join the alliance of the Beichuan nation, barely stopping the Blood Demon sect from expanding further. Chapter 675. The final battle. Yi Fei, who was immersed in cultivation, had no idea that during this period of cultivation, the entire northern region had changed. There was a storm of blood everywhere. Under the threat of the Blood Demon sect, no one could remain unscathed. Even the elders who had been living in seclusion for hundreds of years were forced to come out of seclusion. However, Yi Fei felt that it was about time to go back after spending 3 months in the desert. Fortunately, I have a combat power of 1,000,000 now and I have the Phoenix Blood Sword. Even if Wu Jun is still unwilling to give up on me, and wants to take my inheritance, I don't have to worry too much. Then, Yi Fei used his mind to retract the golden light all over his body and turn it into a strange power. It did not merge into his meridians and energy center, but directly into Yi Fei's flesh and blood. It reached a strange balance with the Azura power in his energy center. After walking out of the tomb and the cave, Yi Fei saw the old man standing quietly in the sandstorm like a statue. When Yi Fei came out, the old man's stiff face showed a kind smile. "Young Master Yi, it seems that you have bathed in the Dragon Chi and are planning to leave." "Yes, it's all thanks to you, Elder. Otherwise, I wouldn't have the chance to bathe in the Dragon Chi," Yi Fei said sincerely. Yi Fei was grateful and respectful to this old man who had spent his life guarding the tomb and the stone door. The old man also felt Yi Fei's sincerity and his smile became even more benevolent. Originally, he was afraid that Yi Fei would burn the bridge after crossing the river and not help him find the spiritual eye after bathing in the Dragon Chi. Now it seemed that he was overthinking. "You are indeed the first invincible king sage in the North region in 10,000 years. Young man, work hard in your cultivation. You might be able to reach the same height as the great Emperor Wang Qing in the future," the old man encouraged. Yi Fei's face turned red. How could he be compared to the great Emperor Wang Qing? "Senior, you're being too courteous. About the spiritual eye, give me some time. I'll find it as soon as possible so that you can continue to seal the monsters and protect our northern region." Yi Fei solemnly bowed to the old man and was about to leave. The old man was also very satisfied with Yi Fei's attitude. Seeing that Yi Fei was about to leave, he suddenly thought of something and hurriedly called out to Yi Fei. "Young Master Yi, the old and decrepit seems to be unaware of the current situation in the northern region. The old and decrepit has some spies in Quicksand City, so I'll tell you the details now." The old man then told him everything that had happened in the northern region after Yi Fei had been trapped in the desert. "What? The Blood Demon sect wants to unify the northern region and turn it into the most suitable place for demons to cultivate? The northern wilderness, the northern ocean, and the northern sea have all fallen. Song Yu of the Northern Wilderness State actually secretly sided with the Blood Demon sect and plotted against the Northern Wilderness State monarch. Other than the Northern Wilderness State and a few other areas, most of the northern region has now been occupied by the Blood Demon sect. The bad news came one after another. Yi Fei listened with trepidation. He couldn't believe that such a serious disaster had happened in the northern region while he was trapped in the desert. "Even the Northern Ocean Monarch has died in battle," Yi Fei muttered to himself, feeling a little gloomy. Although he didn't have much of a relationship with the Northern Ocean Monarch, he was a wise man. However, this ruler could be considered a wise ruler. It was also because of his presence that the Northern Ocean and the Northern Sea were able to hold on bitterly when they were weak. It was also because of his open-mindedness that the Northern Ocean and the Northern Sea were able to merge and avoid war between the two sides. It was also because the Northern Ocean Monarch continuously took care of the Northern Sea Pass and Family Yi that Yi Fei was able to fight and gain experience in the heaven-forsaken land without any distractions. But now, such an elder no longer existed. He used the last of his blood to protect the Northern Ocean State and the Northern Sea. I didn't expect this. However, the monarch's blood will not flow in vain. Blood Demon sect, no matter how strong you are, I will never allow you to run amok in the northern region. The northern region was Yi Fei's hometown. Yi Fei would never allow the northern region to be destroyed for no reason. Blood Demon sect. Yi Fei roared and directly tore open the void, leaving the tomb of the great emperor. The old man also quietly watched Yi Fei's departing figure with a smile on his face. Then, he returned to his expressionless face and stood guard at the entrance of the sand cave like a stone statue. 3 months' time was enough for the Blood Demon sect to recruit and form the strongest army in the entire northern region to march towards Beichuan country. Let's all work harder. As long as we destroy Beichuan country, our Blood Demon sect will be able to unify the northern region. When that time comes, we will be able to cultivate evil techniques as we wish. Whoever dares to obstruct us will have their entire family slaughtered. In order to boost morale, the Blood Demon sect monarch personally walked to the front. The demons who were stimulated also cheered wildly. That's great. The era of us demons' dominance has finally arrived. Kill our way into Beichuan country and kill them all. Long live the Blood Demon sect. Long live the Azura young master. Roar, roar, roar. The demons' angry roars were like exploding thunder that constantly exploded in the sky. They spread far and wide, and even reached the border of Beichuan country. Almost all of Beichuan country's manpower was gathered at the border. Their army alone exceeded 5 million. Among them, Wu Jun, the martial king, was even more gloomy. However, even with so many experts present, no one dared to take the initiative to counterattack. The Blood Demon sect's young master was simply too strong. In the past 3 months, none of the titled martial artists present, Wu Jun, was confident that they could be a match for the Azura young master. Sigh, if only the sage monarch of the northern region didn't die. Wu Jun sighed. After 3 months without any news of Yi Fei, Zhu Jin, Jing Wushou, and the others began to waver. Basically, no one in the Alliance army believed that Yi Fei was still alive. Boom. Just as everyone was talking about Yi Fei, shaking their heads and sighing in disappointment, a pillar of light suddenly appeared in the direction of Beichuan country's imperial palace. Martial artists below the martial king level didn't know what this pillar of light represented. However, those above the martial king level all looked in the direction of the imperial capital excitedly. The Beichuan monarch was so excited that his hands were trembling. He did it! He did it just like that! Who is it? Stepping into the 12th level of the martial saint realm, at this time, and emitting such a strong aura? Needless to say, it must be Fu Renjie. He's an invincible martial king, and his strength has already reached 300,000. He's second only to the sage monarch of the northern region. The one who broke through now must be Fu Renjie. As the strongest genius of the northern region, Fu Renjie's popularity was undeniable. The news was soon verified, because not long after he stepped into the 12th level of the martial saint realm, the space gate that led to the border of the imperial capital suddenly opened. Fu Renjie's body was enveloped in light as he strode out of the space gate. After 3 months of hard work, I, Fu Renjie, have finally stepped into the 12th level of the martial saint realm and become a titled martial artist, Wu Jun. Unfortunately, the person I wanted to defeat the most is no longer here. Fu Renjie's majestic gaze swept past Lin Tianjiao and Chen Mengyao. However, he didn't see Yi Fei. Fu Renjie let out a long sigh as a lonely expression appeared in his eyes. I chased after you with all my might. In the end, you couldn't wait for me to catch up to you. Sigh. Hearing that even Fu Renjie thought that Yi Fei was dead for sure, close to 100,000 young martial kings at the border all let out heavy sighs. Zhu Jin and Jing Wushou's eyes also became gloomy. Chen Mengyao bit her red lips while Lin Tianjiao clenched his fist. Damn it. You only cared about chasing after Yi Fei. You obviously didn't see me as your opponent. Damn it. Lin Tianjiao left angrily. However, he soon returned helplessly. He had no choice but to continue to face the dazzling Fu Renjie. Because while Fu Renjie was here, the army of hundreds of thousands of demons formed by the Blood Demon sect had already arrived at the city. This made many people's faces change color. However, there were also some people who didn't care. For example, many young martial kings who supported Fu Renjie shouted angrily, "What are you afraid of? The northern region's sacred ruler is dead. We still have Fu Renjie and 16 titled martial artists Wu Jun. Yeah, what are you afraid of? We still have Fu Renjie. Fu Renjie, invincible Wu Jun, we support you." Knowing that this might be the final battle, countless young martial kings shouted angrily. Who said that men weren't hot-blooded? Now was the time to show them. Subsequently, the news of Fu Renjie's breakthrough to the titled Wu Jun spread like a hurricane throughout the entire border. It also reached the ears of the 5 million soldiers. The army's morale was immediately boosted. The army of blood demons sect that had already arrived at the city panicked when they heard the shouts from within the city. After all, Fu Renjie was the strongest sky pride of the northern region. Although he was temporarily suppressed by Yi Fei, the news of Yi Fei's death and Fu Renjie's breakthrough to the titled Wu Jun still affected the demon army that was preparing to enter the city. Chapter 676. To one side at this moment, it also showed the drawback of the Blood Demon Church's rapid expansion, which was that the people's hearts were not united. Other than the tens of thousands of people directly under the Blood Demon Church, the rest were just a bunch of miscellaneous soldiers. It was okay to let them fight a smooth battle, but when the situation was slightly unfavorable, this group of demons would become hesitant. The Blood Demon sect master kept urging them, but none of the demons dared to attack the city. He was so angry that he roared, "You bunch of good-for-nothings! If you don't attack the city, I'll kill all of you first. Sect master, please calm down first. They don't dare to attack the city because they're afraid of Fu Renjie. Since that's the case, I'll go out and kill Fu Renjie first to eliminate everyone's fear. It'll also deal a blow to the morale of the Beichuan alliance." A blood-red figure walked out. "So it's Great Commander Song Yu. If you hadn't mentioned it, I would have almost forgotten about you. You're also one of the northern region's geniuses. If you can step forward and kill Fu Renjie, it'll naturally be a heavy blow to the alliance. Go now and kill Fu Renjie," the Blood Demon sect master coldly ordered. "Understood." Song Yu was in high spirits. He was in high spirit. Ever since he joined the Blood Demon sect, he had benefited greatly. Not only had he become one of the 12 demon gods of the Blood Demon sect, but he had also become the right-hand man of the Blood Demon sect master. However, Song Yu was not satisfied with this. In his heart, he looked down on the old and weak Blood Demon sect leader. Now, it was a great opportunity for him, Song Yu, to replace the Blood Demon sect leader. Thinking of this, Song Yu subconsciously looked at the blood-colored figure in the sky. The other party also looked at Song Yu with a meaningful gaze. Song Yu was so happy that he wanted to jump up. As expected, young master thinks highly of me. As long as I kill Fu Renjie and establish my prestige, I will definitely be able to replace this old thing and become the new sect leader. My authority will definitely be greater than being the Northern Yuan country's crown prince. Song Yu, it's Song Yu. This traitor who defected to the demons, what is he doing here? Could it be that he wants to challenge Fu Renjie? On the city walls, countless martial artists were discussing. Many of them were even pointing at Song Yu and cursing him. Song Yu didn't look at these people. He walked straight into the sky and pointed at Fu Renjie with extreme disdain as he shouted, "Fu Renjie, come out and fight! Today, I, Song Yu, will block the faces of several million martial artists and trample you underfoot." Boom! At the border, the 5 million soldiers were all shocked. Lin Tianjiao and Qin Mengyao were also very surprised. Song Yu actually dared to challenge Fu Renjie. Did this guy eat the wrong medicine? "Song Yu, since you want to fight, I'll fight you." Fu Renjie didn't back down. He couldn't back down because behind him was the border and Beichuan nation. "Fu Renjie, you have to win," Lin Tianjiao suddenly roared. It was hard to imagine that someone as proud as him would be cheering for someone else. But soon, everyone understood. This battle was not only a battle to determine the strongest genius of the northern region, but also a battle that would determine the fate of the northern region. If Fu Renjie won, it would definitely boost everyone's morale. Then, they would do their best to defend the city. But on the other hand, if Fu Renjie lost, the morale of the entire border garrison would definitely plummet. When everyone was filled with fear, they wouldn't be able to defend the city. Understanding this, not only Lin Tianjiao, Chun Mengyao, but also countless young martial kings all roared. Fu Renjie will win! Great Commander Song Yu will win! The demons outside the city also roared. They even deliberately retreated enough space to allow Fu Renjie and Song Yu to fight to their heart's content. In the sky, Fu Renjie and Song Yu stood opposite each other. Song Yu's face showed no hesitation. He pointed at the ground and said, "As the saying goes, a wise man submits to circumstances. Fu Renjie, you are a talent. If you are willing to kneel before me now and announce that you have joined the Blood Demon sect, I, Song Yu, can still spare your life." Fu Renjie was incomparably cold. He said in a low voice, "We walk different paths. Let's fight. If you want me to kneel, there is only one way, and that is to wait for me to kill you." Yin Yang dual blades. Rumble. Ethereal force erupted. Fu Renjie made the first move. A white saber appeared in his left hand, and a black sword appeared in his right hand. One white and one black, one yin and one yang. It was like the flow of yin and yang, full of mystery and oppression. The sky creaked. It was also this move that made many of the older Wu Jun turn pale with fright. 500,000 combat power. This Fu Renjie has only just broken through to the titled Wu Jun, but he already has 500,000 combat power. A Wu Jun exclaimed. Song Yu's expression also changed. 500,000 combat power? Fu Renjie, you are indeed strong. But the current me is no more than the me from 3 months ago. Deity King worships the moon. Rumble. Boundless moonlight burst out from Song Yu's body. He raised a bright moon with both hands and smashed it towards Fu Renjie with a cold expression. I, who have received the personal guidance of the young master, will only be stronger than you. Not only you, but also Lin Tianjiao, Chun Mengyao, all of you will be trampled under my feet. Rumble. The full moon tore through the void and shattered Fu Renjie's saber and sword. Fu Renjie's face was filled with shock, and then he let out a furious roar. The blazing black qi and white qi caused the world to be dyed black and white. But behind Song Yu, a blood moon appeared. It emitted a boundless blood-red light, preventing Fu Renjie's black and white qi from approaching. Fu Renjie, do you see this? This is my combat power. 600,000 combat power. Not only have I surpassed you, but I have also surpassed Yi Fei. From today onwards I, Song Yu, am the strongest genius. Rumble. Song Yu's body was like a blood python. Suddenly, countless giant blood-red hands appeared behind his back. They were like venomous snakes, clawing at Fu Renjie and shaking off Fu Renjie's black and white auras. Wu Jun Stage 2, 600,000 combat power? It's only been 3 months. What kind of tricks did the Blood Demon sect use to allow Song Yu to improve so quickly? An older martial artist saw through Song Yu's strength, and his voice trembled as he spoke. Not good. Fu Renjie might be defeated. The Beichuan monarch looked at Fu Renjie, who was struggling under Song Yu's attacks. Shock flashed across his face, followed by determination. Even if I have to risk my life, I can't let anything happen to Fu Renjie. All Wu Jun, move out and save Fu Renjie. The Beichuan monarch could no longer care about the impact on the morale of his troop. He quickly led all the Wu Jun elites and rushed out. The Blood Demon sect's leader had been waiting for this moment. He let out a sinister laugh and called out to Wu Jun beside him. Beichuan monarch, don't even think about saving Fu Renjie. Fu Renjie is dead, and so are all of you. After killing all of you, the Blood Demon sect will rule the northern region. Long live the Blood Demon sect! Long live the young master! As Fu Renjie was suppressed, the morale of the Blood Demon sect's side increased greatly. However, at this critical juncture, countless soldiers looked on with worry as they watched the Wu Jun chaotic battle. Fu Renjie, prepare to die. From now on, I, Song Yu, am the strongest genius. No, I'm not the strongest. I'm the only genius in the northern region. Song Yu raised the huge blood moon in his hand and continuously smashed it down. Fu Renjie repeatedly roared. On his body, 2 streams of black and white qi transformed into a long rainbow, and then transformed into a black and a white sword, and desperately slashed towards Song Yu. But there was no other way. Song Yu was too powerful. The second-rank titled Wu Jun, with a combat power of 600,000, had created an absolute suppression on Fu Renjie. Fu Renjie was forced to retreat again and again. During this process, Fu Renjie kept resisting and trying to fight back. However, everyone could see that the black and white light on Fu Renjie's body was gradually dimming. It was as if a dazzling sun was being blocked by Song Yu's blood moon. Boom! Heaven and earth trembled. Everyone subconsciously stopped what they were doing and looked at the place where Fu Renjie and Song Yu were fighting. They saw Song Yu holding the blood moon high. His face had a trace of arrogance and a trace of ridicule. Fu Renjie, you still lost, trampled by me, Song Yu. Have I lost? Fu Renjie looked at the shattered yin and yang qi on his body. His face was filled with anger and humiliation. Chapter 677. Damn it. What? Song Yu isn't using his own strength? What's going on? Upon hearing Fu Renjie's words, many Wu Jun started observing Song Yu again. However, before they could see anything, Song Yu's expression turned ugly. You can actually see through my true strength. But so what? Even if I borrowed external strength, my combat strength is still mine. Of course, your life is also mine. Kill. Song Yu's expression turned ferocious. He didn't plan to give Fu Renjie any chance to live. Only by killing Fu Renjie could he step on Fu Renjie's corpse and become the strongest Sky Pride in the northern region. He might even be the only Sky Pride. Fight. Black and white flames burned on Fu Renjie's body once again. Facing the powerful Song Yu, he didn't retreat. Instead, he burned his blood essence and fought with Song Yu again. Fu Renjie is going all out. Song Yu actually forced him to this point. Lin Tianjiao clenched his fists and looked at the Wu Jun battle outside the city unwillingly. However, he and Chen Mengyao weren't Wu Jun. The two of them could only watch Fu Renjie's burning blood essence become weaker and weaker. Everyone knew that once the black and white flames on Fu Renjie's body extinguished again, Fu Renjie would die in battle. While the battle was going on outside the city, somewhere in the city, many low-level warriors who couldn't help were praying. They were either praying to the gods or to the idol of all the warriors in the northern region, the statue of the great Emperor Wang Qing. It was worth mentioning that Yi Fei's appearance had also been made into a statue by the family Yi. At this moment, a group of children from the family Yi were praying to this statue under the orders of their elders. However, compared to the gods and the statue of the great Emperor Wang Qing, the number of people praying to Yi Fei's statue was very small. Children of 7 or 8 years old were at the age of curiosity. When they saw that the statue they were praying to was so small, they felt very uncomfortable and asked their elders about it. Why are we praying? Is this statue also a god? Why is it that, other than our family Yi, no one has come to worship it? The children were very curious. The elders of the family Yi looked very upset. They didn't know how to explain, but Yi Jian's dignified voice came from the crowd. Children, this man is not a god, nor is he an emperor, but he is the hope of our family Yi. He is the holy king who will lead our family Yi to glory. If you kneel down and kowtow to holy Uncle Wang, his spirit in heaven will definitely bless you. Yi Jian's tone suddenly became gloomy. Obviously, after 3 months of no news from Yi Fei, even though Yi Jian didn't say anything, he was beginning to feel hopeless. Uncle Yi Jian, we won't kneel. The children's tone was just as firm as Yi Jian's. Why won't you kneel? Yi Jian was angry when he heard this. The elders of the family Yi were also angry. Could it be that what Yi Fei had done for the family Yi was not worthy of these children's pride and respect from the bottom of their hearts? If it was in the past, when they saw the elders angry, the children would definitely be obedient. But now, many of the children pointed at the sky curiously. Uncle Yi Jian is always lying. Uncle Wang is obviously not dead. Look, Uncle Wang is flying in the sky. The children were very active. They were also the first to notice the abnormality in the sky. At this time, Yi Jian, Yi Bufan, and the others looked at the sky curiously. Clang! Yi Jian was so shocked that the golden sword in his hand fell to the ground. That seems to be Yi Fei? But Yi Jian didn't have time to take a closer look. Boom! In the sky, a man in ragged clothes who looked like a beggar stepped out of the void. The moment he stepped out, he tore open another void with his bare hands and walked in. He was faster than lightning. In the blink of an eye, Yi Fei had disappeared in front of everyone's eyes. Many of the elders of the family Yi wondered if their eyes were playing tricks on them. Maybe they were hallucinating because of the excessive grief. Of course, they weren't hallucinating. The man who came from afar was, of course, Yi Fei. Ever since he learned about the situation in the northern region, he had been using the void steps to speed up his journey. Finally, at this moment, Yi Fei arrived at the border. Naturally, he saw the titled battle pet warrior Wu Jun fighting outside the city. Among the crowd, there were 2 streams of air, one black and one white. Yi Fei was surprised. Those are the 2 streams of air, yin and yang. Has Fu Renjie reached Wu Jun? No wonder he is the most powerful genius. He is 1 step ahead of me. Wait, something is wrong. Fu Renjie seems to be burning his essence and blood. He seems to be fighting with his life. Soon, Yi Fei noticed that something was wrong with Fu Renjie. The black and white streams of air were dazzling, but it seemed to be the final radiance of the setting sun that could be extinguished at any time. On the other hand, the blood-red light that was suppressing Fu Renjie was still shining brightly, full of blood and strangeness. Yi Fei was very familiar with that kind of energy. It is the energy of the blood Bodhi. But it is much stronger than that of the average blood Bodhi. Yi Fei was even more surprised. As he got closer, he finally saw that it was Song Yu who was suppressing Fu Renjie. Gradually, Yi Fei understood what was going on. Song Yu has indeed joined the blood demon sect. He is still suppressing Fu Renjie. Oh no. He has one more move and Fu Renjie will die. Rumble. There was no time to think. Yi Fei swung out a stream of sword aura with his bare hands. The sword was like a rainbow that crossed thousands of meters and instantly blocked in front of Fu Renjie, forming a sword vortex. Fu Renjie, I, Song Yu, will take your life. Song Yu was ecstatic. The blood-red moon in his hand emitted a terrifying light as it viciously smashed towards Fu Renjie's head. Fu Renjie's eyes widened as he stared in disbelief at the familiar yet strange sword aura that had appeared in front of him. Song Yu had never expected that a sword light would fly over from afar in such a strange manner. Against that sword light, Song Yu realized that the speed at which his blood moon was descending had become extremely slow. In the end, when it got close to the sword light, it completely froze. This is impossible. What kind of sword aura is this? It can actually suppress my combat power of 600,000. Who are you? Tell me your name. In the end, Song Yu was actually forced back by the sword aura and couldn't continue to kill Fu Renjie. Song Yu's expression became very serious as he looked at the figure that had appeared beside Fu Renjie. Needless to say, it was Yi Fei. However, Yi Fei's clothes were ragged and he was in a hurry. His hair was messy and covered half of his face. Song Yu didn't recognize Yi Fei. Fu Renjie didn't recognize Yi Fei either. In the end, Yi Fei took the initiative to lift up his hair and smiled at Fu Renjie. "Brother Fu, thank you for your hard work. Leave the rest to me." "Yi Fei, you're Yi Fei." Fu Renjie stared at Yi Fei's face. He couldn't believe that Yi Fei was still alive. "Yi Fei? How is that possible? Didn't you die in the desert? How did you make it back alive?" Song Yu turned pale with fright. The gloating look on his face was replaced with fear. As for Wu Jun and the other titled battle pet warriors who were still fighting, they all looked as if they had seen a ghost. They had thought that Yi Fei had probably been killed by some powerful titled battle pet warrior, Wu Jun, since they hadn't heard from him for 3 months. However, after 3 months, Yi Fei had made it back. Chapter 678. Explode with a punch boom. Yi Fei's appearance shocked all the titled martial artist Wu Jun. They all stopped fighting and retreated to their respective camp. "Ha ha, good. Yi Fei, I knew that you wouldn't die so easily." Sacred Leader Sword Maniac laughed loudly. If there was anyone who believed that Yi Fei wouldn't die, it would definitely be Sacred Leader Sword Maniac. "Yi Fei, it's really Yi Fei. He's not dead. He's actually still alive." Lin Tianjiao and Chen Mengyao were both shocked. Then, they became excited. Song Yu was strong, but with Yi Fei and Fu Renjie working together, there was still hope for the alliance. "It's the Sacred King of the North. It's really the Sacred King of the North. Long live the Sacred King. Long live Fu Renjie." The 5 million Alliance army, which had been in low spirits a moment ago, became excited when Yi Fei appeared. Nearly 100,000 young martial kings cheered wildly. "Yi Fei, it's really Yi Fei. He's not dead. He's still alive." Yi Jian and many people from the family Yi were so excited that tears streamed down their faces. The Blood Demon sect was in chaos when they saw Yi Fei. Yi Fei's reputation was too terrifying. First, he was the Sword Monarch of the North Sea. Now, he was the Sacred King of the North Sea. Such a reputation was earned by Yi Fei himself. If the demons were afraid of heroes, they were completely terrified of Yi Fei. Seeing that Yi Fei was still alive and had come out of the desert alive, the Sand King and Shin Tuming, who were hiding among the demons, were horrified. Of course, like the Blood Demon sect master, the 12 demon god commanders, when they saw Yi Fei, their eyes burned with anger. The grudge between Yi Fei and the Blood Demon sect ran too deep. Out of the 12 commanders, 3 of them had died because of Yi Fei. Not to mention, Yi Fei had also taken away the 2 most precious Saint Bodhi trees of the Blood Demon sect. Now that Yi Fei had finally appeared, the eyes of the Blood Demon sect leader and the others were especially red. "All demon god commanders, heed my orders. Capture Yi Fei at all costs. Great Commander Song Yu, use your full strength as well. Tie down Yi Fei for me. Don't let him escape." The Blood Demon sect master roared. "Kill! Kill! Kill!" The eyes of the 12 demon god commanders immediately turned red, as though they had seen an irreconcilable enemy. All of them charged madly at Yi Fei. In their eyes, Yi Fei was a delicious cake. Whoever could capture Yi Fei first and retrieve the 2 Saint Bodhi trees would definitely leave the deepest impression in the young master's heart. No one would give up such an opportunity. Even the Blood Demon sect master went crazy, let alone Song Yu, who was closest to Yi Fei. After the initial shock, Song Yu's eyes immediately flickered with hatred and resentment. "Yi Fei, it's all because of you that my father died in the desert. It's better that you're alive. Then I'll use your head as an offering to my father's spirit in heaven." Song Yu roared. This was also the reason why he had joined the Blood Demon sect. Because of the death of the king of Northern Plains, Song Yu had placed all his hatred on Yi Fei. Of course, Song Yu had forgotten that he and the king of Northern Plains were greedy for Yi Fei's inheritance. They had attacked Yi Fei first, wanting to kill Yi Fei. When Yi Fei heard Song Yu's words, he couldn't help but laugh coldly. It was clearly your greed that caused mischief. The king of Northern Plains almost killed me. I didn't settle the score with you, but you still have the face to come after me? Brother Yi, we must be careful. I don't know what kind of evil skill this Song Yu has learned. He actually raised his combat power to 600,000 and even broke through to the second stage of Wu Jun. Fu Renjie hurriedly reminded Yi Fei when he saw that Yi Fei was looking down on Song Yu. At the same time, a weak black and white aura once again appeared on Fu Renjie's body. Since Yi Fei had saved him, Fu Renjie naturally wouldn't let Yi Fei face the enemy alone. Instead, he planned to fight alongside Yi Fei. Yi Fei knew that Fu Renjie meant well, but when he sensed Fu Renjie's weak aura, Yi Fei still stretched out his hand to stop Fu Renjie. It's just a few clowns. I can take care of them alone. Brother Fu, heal your wounds first. I'll talk to you later. Yi Fei, what are you saying? How dare you look down on me, Song Yu? If that's the case, then die. Song Yu's face was cold. He was practically burning with rage. Moreover, he was now the same as he was 3 months ago. Song Yu was confident that even if he couldn't defeat Yi Fei, he could still remain undefeated in front of Yi Fei. Kill. God worships the moon. Song Yu's hair was blood red. The blood moon in his hand suddenly became even bigger than when he was fighting Fu Renjie. Fu Renjie realized that Song Yu hadn't used his full strength yet. Yi Fei, watch out! Holy Lord Sword Maniac and the others sensed the terror of Song Yu's attack. When they saw the 12 demon gods of the Blood Demon sect rushing toward Yi Fei, they were shocked. They immediately threw caution to the wind and rushed forward to protect Renjie and Yi Fei. When the other titled battle pet warriors of the Blood Demon sect, Wu Jun, saw this, they looked at each other and rushed forward to stop Elder Sword Maniac and the others. Just as the curtains of an unprecedented battle royale in Wu Jun's history was about to begin, Yi Fei finally moved. He didn't care about the others. He just stared at Song Yu and said coldly, "I'd like to see how you're going to kill me. Take my fist." With a loud bang, Yi Fei rushed toward Song Yu. At the same time, he swung his right fist. The power of Azura in his body boiled like lava. Wherever Yi Fei's fist passed, the air was scraped by a huge flame. Yi Fei's fist was like a whistling meteor, falling from the starry sky and colliding with Song Yu's blood moon. The blood moon was instantly torn apart, smashed into countless streams of blood-colored light. How is this possible? Song Yu's eyes were filled with shock. He had 600,000 combat power and activated the Blood Demon secret skill. Yet, he still couldn't block Yi Fei's seemingly ordinary punch. Nothing is impossible in this world. Yi Fei roared. He shattered the blood moon with one punch. His left fist, which had been ready for a long time, smashed toward Song Yu like a meteor. Feeling the terrifying power contained in Yi Fei's fist, Song Yu's body trembled. His face was full of humiliation. The blood in Song Yu's body erupted like a fountain, dyeing his body red. Then, it quickly condensed into a strange blood pool in an attempt to protect him. At the same time, the 12 demon god commanders also roared at the same time. As they roared, hundreds of terrifying blood hands extended from behind each of them. They were like blood pythons baring their fangs as they frantically tried to entangle Yi Fei. However, Yi Fei's action was still the same. He coldly punched out with his left fist. The void was instantly smashed apart by Yi Fei's fist. The bloody hands that were trying to entangle him all exploded into pieces. With an unstoppable force, Yi Fei's fist landed on the blood pool that Song Yu had turned into. An earth-shattering sound was heard. The blood pool that Song Yu used to protect himself was smashed into pieces. Blood dyed the sky red, revealing Song Yu's shocked figure. Then, his face was filled with hatred and fear. Bam! Song Yu's body suddenly exploded. Yi Fei's punch had actually caused his body to explode. Until the moment of his death, Song Yu's eyes still retained a deep sense of fear and regret. Chapter 679. No one can resist. This punch was too powerful and too terrifying. Even Yi Fei himself did not expect his strength to be so terrifying when combined with the power of Azura. One punch was enough to destroy Song Yu, who had a combat power of 600,000. This scene also scared the Blood Demon Sect Master and the 12 demon gods who were already charging over. It must be known that Song Yu was a rising star of their Blood Demon Sect. His battle prowess was extremely strong. The Blood Demon Sect Master even planned to groom Song Yu as the next Sect Master. But in the end, even Song Yu could not withstand a single punch from Yi Fei and was blown apart? Just how terrifying was Yi Fei's battle prowess now? Boom! The Blood Demon Sect's army, which was originally a motley crew, suddenly became chaotic due to Song Yu's death. Many of the demons retreated in fear, afraid that they would attract Yi Fei's attention. In the crowd, Sha Wang and Shin Taming were so scared that their faces turned pale. They kept their heads down, afraid that Yi Fei would discover them. Good lad. This Yi Fei is truly something. It seems we were worried for nothing. The Beichuan king suddenly laughed out loud. Ever since the Blood Demon Sect had wreaked havoc, the entire alliance had been suppressed by the Blood Demon Sect. They had no way of retaliating. Finally, Yi Fei had appeared. They had waited for the perfect moment to strike back. Lin Tianjiao, Zhu Zhen, what are you waiting for? Now that Yi Fei has returned, he seems to be even stronger than before. Now is the best time for us to counterattack. While Yi Fei and Song Yu were fighting, Fu Renjie had already returned to the city walls. Not only did he have martial strength, he also had the ability to command. As soon as Fu Renjie noticed that the morale of the Blood Demon Sect's army was starting to plummet, he immediately shouted a warning to the spectating generals. It was also at this time that Lin Tianjiao and the others recovered from the shock of seeing Yi Fei destroy Song Yu with a single punch. As geniuses, Lin Tianjiao and Chen Mengyao suddenly felt immense pressure. Inspired by Yi Fei, the entire alliance army erupted with an amazing fighting spirit. Zhu Zhen, Qin Bing, and the others were all smiling. Zhu Zhen sighed and said, "Father, you have a good eye to befriend Yi Fei and the Taishan Holy Land. Now, there's hope for our Beiyang kingdom to recover. Soldiers, charge with me." Jing Wushou and the others were even more direct. When they saw that the Blood Demon Sect's army was in chaos, they immediately opened the city gates. The 5 million alliance soldiers were like 5 million ferocious wolves. They roared and charged forward, causing the Blood Demon Sect's army to become even more chaotic. They didn't have the advantage in numbers, and they were filled with fear of Yi Fei. When they saw the army charging out, the demons who had joined the Blood Demon Sect at the last minute all scattered. They started running for their lives even before the battle started. Among them, the Sand King and Shin Tuming were the fastest to run. The bandits secretly regretted that they weren't in a desert. Otherwise, they could have just burrowed into the quicksand and run for their lives. PFF. Seeing this, the master of the Blood Demon Sect was so angry that he spat out his precious blood into the sky. He shouted, "No one is allowed to run. We still have the young master. When the young master wakes up from his cultivation, we can turn defeat into victory. Kill him. Kill him. We still have a chance to turn defeat into victory." One had to admit that the master of the Blood Demon Sect was a good commander. Thanks to his encouragement, the chaotic Blood Demon Sect army soon calmed down. The titled martial lords who joined the Blood Demon Church also knew that at that moment they had no path of retreat. If they were defeated, they would die and their reputations would be shattered. They could only grit their teeth and charge at Yi Fei with all their might. Sect Master is right. If we kill Yi Fei, we still have a chance to win. How about we stall for time until the young master wakes up from his cultivation? Kill him. I don't believe that we can't kill him with so many Wu Juns working together. He has the legacy of the sage sect. As long as he's dead, the legacy will be ours. The remaining 10 demon god commanders all looked greedy. They couldn't wait to kill Yi Fei right then and there so that they could take Yi Fei's legacy. Yi Fei smiled coldly. The blood demon sect is heartless. Today, I will seek justice on behalf of the martial kings you've killed. Kill him. Power of Azura, Heaven Destroyer. Boom. The sword light shook the sky. The Sky Destroyer style, which was stimulated by the power of Azura, was undoubtedly more terrifying than the ordinary true elemental energy. Sword Yefei's sword light destroyed a small part of the world in front of it, completely turning it into a zone of nothingness. In the nothingness, the 10 demon gods were all destroyed. They were destroyed by Yi Fei's sword. The Wu Jun experts fighting in the sky were all shocked. Fu Renjie, Lin Tianjiao, and Chen Mengyao all stared with their eyes wide open. What had they just seen? Yi Fei had destroyed Song Yu with a single punch. It was already extremely terrifying. Now Yi Fei had killed 10 demon god commanders of the Blood Demon sect with a single sword. Other than the Blood Demon sect master, Yi Fei's sword had killed all the core higher-ups of the Blood Demon sect. Seeing the dead demon god commanders, the Blood Demon sect master was so angry that he spat out a few mouthfuls of blood. Then, he felt dizzy and almost died on the spot. Kill. Kill him for me. Kill this damned evil creature. In the sky, the furious roar of the Blood Demon sect master resounded. He didn't retreat. Instead, he charged at Yi Fei with a crazed look in his eyes. Boundless blood hands. Boundless blood hands filled the sky and grabbed at Yi Fei. They couldn't wait to tear Yi Fei into pieces. At the same time, the Blood Demon Church's church head's battle power was also extremely astonishing. He had actually used the same secret technique as Song Yu and suddenly raised his cultivation from the 4th level of the Martial Lord Realm to the terrifying level of the 5th level of the Martial Lord Realm. In other words, the combat power of the Blood Demon Church's Churchmaster had already reached the terrifying level of 1 million. When the army of the Blood Demon Church saw the Churchmaster personally taking action, they were all shocked. They all looked towards the sky fervently, hoping to see the scene of the Churchmaster unleashing his invincible might. Oh no, a combat strength of 1 million. This old demon is too scary. Yi Fei, come back quickly. Sensing the terror of the Blood Demon sect master, the titled battle pet warriors of the Alliance, Wu Jun, all panicked. Even the sword maniac Holy Lord's face turned pale. To them, no matter how strong Yi Fei was, he couldn't possibly be a match for the 1 million combat strength of the Blood Demon sect master. It was more important for them to preserve their combat strength. The Wu Jun of the Alliance turned around and returned to the city. They planned to gather their forces for defense. However, they were only halfway there when they suddenly realized that Yi Fei didn't retreat with them. In the sky, an even more dazzling golden light appeared. Yi Fei's face was cold. He finally took out his Phoenix Blood Sword and pointed it at the Blood Demon sect master. He said disdainfully, "A combat strength of 1 million? Who are you trying to scare? Let me show you what a real combat strength of 1 million looks like. Kill." Sky-burning form. Sky-burning sword fire. Boom. The empty sky suddenly turned red. A huge flaming sword light tore through the sky and slashed at the crazy Blood Demon sect master. The Blood Demon sect master was horrified to find that even though he had activated a secret technique and raised his cultivation to the 5th rank of Wu Jun, he still wasn't a match for Yi Fei's sword. The bloody hands that filled the sky were all burned to ashes. Then, under the horrified gaze of the Blood Demon sect master, his body was also unable to withstand Yi Fei's sword. His body was cut into two and burned to ashes. Ah! The moment the blood demon sect master died, a blood-red figure rushed over from the distant sky at lightning speed. Chapter 680. Brothers Become Enemies. Boom! As the young man in the blood-red robes appeared, the sea of flames was quickly engulfed by the boundless blood-red clouds. The young man in the blood-red robes was none other than the Azura young master. His face was filled with rage. He hadn't seen Yi Fei at the border and had only seen Fu Renjie. Disappointed, the young master of the Azura sect wasn't interested in watching the battle between Song Yu and Fu Renjie. Instead, he made the best use of his time to cultivate his martial art. It was obvious that the young master of the Azura sect was a very hard-working person. However, he seemed to be a little too hard-working this time. Who would have thought that in the short time that the young master of the Azura sect was immersed in his cultivation, not only did Yi Fei come back from the dead, but he also rushed to the battlefield. Not only did he kill Song Yu, but he also killed the leaders of the 12 demon gods, including the leader of the Blood Demon sect. This was definitely the first defeat the Blood Demon sect had suffered since they swept through the northern region. It was also the most serious defeat. Because of his carelessness, the core experts of the Blood Demon sect were all killed by Yi Fei. How could the young master of the Azura sect not be angry? Luo Shi. How could it be Luo Shi? At this time, Yi Fei also saw the young master of the Azura sect clearly. He was actually Luo Shi. However, Luo Shi had already lost all human emotions. His eyes were blood-red and his face was ferocious. Even his spirit eagle had turned into a blood eagle. It stood on his shoulder and screeched fiercely at Yi Fei. Screech! Without any warning, the blood eagle attacked. It carried the young master of the Azura sect's wrath as it swooped down. The sky turned dark. The blood eagle soared in the sky. Its sharp claws quickly became incomparably huge. It was as if it could even uproot a mountain range. Bam! Yi Fei was still in deep shock. He was unprepared and was hit by the Spirit Eagle's attack on the spot. Fortunately, the demonic Emperor Sutra's true yuan had already completely merged with Yi Fei's flesh and cells. The Devil Emperor's sutra automatically started to circulate after receiving the attack. Raging golden flames suddenly burned on Yi Fei's body, successfully blocking the Blood Eagle's fatal attack. Luo Shi, what's going on? Why is the Azura young master Luo Shi? The pain in his body jolted Yi Fei out of his shock, but he still couldn't believe that his brother was the young master of the Blood Demon sect and had become his greatest enemy. Yi Fei, you must be careful. He is no longer Luo Shi. He is young master Azura. He has already taken over Luo Shi's body. The real Luo Shi is probably already dead. Suddenly, the loud sound of Sword Maniac Elder's sword rang out from afar. This sword sound immediately pulled Yi Fei back from his confusion. However, Yi Fei's expression soon turned pained. He looked at Sword Maniac Elder and then at young Master Shura. There was shock and sorrow on his face. Luo Shi is really dead? His body was even used by the Blood Demon sect. But why Luo Shi? Boom! An intense killing intent rose from Yi Fei's body. His eyes were bloodshot as he stared coldly at the young master of the Shura clan. What's the matter? You can come at me. Why do you have to hurt my brother? This is how Blood Azura does things. Yi Fei, since you've provoked Blood Azura, we want you to die in the most painful way possible. What do you think? My idea isn't bad, right? There's nothing more painful than being betrayed by your own brother. Young Master Azura laughed heartily. Suddenly, the blood eagle in the sky swooped down at Yi Fei. Yi Fei hesitated for a moment. He still didn't use his killer move. Instead, he pushed his battle demon golden body to the limit and blocked the blood eagle's attack. Die. Young Master Azura had been waiting for this opportunity. When he saw that Yi Fei was only defending himself, A sinister smile flashed across his face. His blood-red palm viciously struck at Yi Fei's body. Poof! Yi Fei immediately felt a sharp pain shoot through his body. A single person's defense might be able to deal with an ordinary martialist, but against an opponent like young Lord Azura, it was simply impossible. His battle-demon golden body collapsed instantly. A bloody palm print appeared on Yi Fei's chest. Just a little bit more, and Yi Fei's entire chest would have been crushed by young Master Azura's palm. Seeing this scene, many people in the Alliance were shocked. That's strange. Why is the northern region holy ruler being beaten so passively? Yi Fei, you're confused. Luo Shi is already dead. The one standing in front of you now isn't Luo Shi, but Blood Azura. Many Wu Jun experts from the Alliance looked at Yi Fei with disappointment. A few Wu Jun experts were about to rush over to help. You're wrong about that. Luo Shi isn't dead yet. His soul is still in this body. I'm just temporarily suppressing it. Yi Fei, if you don't want anything to happen to your brother, you'd better stay put and let me kill you. Young Master Azura laughed viciously. Following young Master Azura's appearance and his forceful suppression of Yi Fei, the chaotic blood demon sect army finally stabilized. They regrouped and started to strut around again. Young Master, you can do it. The blood demon sect will win. The Wu Jun experts from the Alliance also transmitted their voices to Yi Fei. Yi Fei, don't believe this demon's words. Luo Shi is already dead. Only by killing this demon can you avenge your brother. Yi Fei ignored the blood demon army's clamor and didn't reply to the Alliance's martial monarch. He wiped off the blood at the corner of his mouth and walked step by step toward the sky again. He walked toward his former brother, the current Azura young master. Are you telling the truth? Luo Shi isn't dead? You only took over his body and didn't kill him? Yi Fei looked at young Master Azura coldly. Take a guess. With an evil smile on his face, young Master Azura suddenly turned into a beam of blood-red light and charged toward Yi Fei without the slightest scruple. In his opinion, Yi Fei only knew how to defend. Wouldn't he be able to kill him however he wanted? However, young Master Azura had clearly made the wrong decision this time. Yi Fei hadn't made a move before because he wasn't sure if Luo Shi was still alive. Now that he knew that Luo Shi might still be alive, Yi Fei naturally wouldn't be passive and take a beating. Get out of my brother's body! A blazing golden light appeared on Yi Fei's body. It was as if Yi Fei was wearing a golden armor. After entering the 5th level of the Demon Emperor Sutra, Yi Fei already had a special body constitution, the indestructible demon body. His defense was extremely strong. At the same time, the power of Azura in his body increased Yi Fei's strength immensely. Therefore, even a simple punch made Yi Fei's attack extremely terrifying. Bam! Yi Fei's golden fist collided with young Master Azura's bloody palm. Yi Fei was as immovable as a mountain. His astonishing strength seemed to be able to crush a mountain range as he ruthlessly smashed into young Master Azura's body. How is this possible? How can you have the power of Azura? Young Master Azura was extremely shocked. The ancestor of Blood Azura was once an invincible Azura war god. Young Master Azura was naturally very surprised that Yi Fei had the power of Azura in his body. If you want to know, leave my brother's body and I'll tell you. Boom! You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.